Allen Sports.
Enjoy the silence.
Flag on the play if you're not subscribed to Von Allen Sports. But once you are, we'll make it up to your team in the fourth quarter. You're watching Von Allen Sports. Real and honest NFL analysis.
I like it.
Subscribe now and join the empire. Von Allen Sports, let's go.
If you're not watching Von Allen Sports, fuck you.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
Von Allen Sports. Von Allen Sports.
Von Allen Sports on Patreon. Fuck you. I'm joining.
Von Allen Sports. Von Allen Sports.
Enjoy the silence.
Flag on the play if you're not subscribed to Von Allen Sports. But once you are, we'll make it up to your team in the fourth quarter. You're watching Von Allen Sports, real and honest NFL analysis. Subscribe now and join the empire. Von Allen Sports, let's go.
If you're not watching Von Allen Sports, fuck you. Von Allen Sports on Patreon. Fuck you. I'm joining.
Von Allen Sports. Von Allen Sports.
Von Allen Sports on Patreon. Fuck you. I'm joining.
Von Allen Sports.
Unmute. I got a button now. I got a motherfucking button now. Okay? So, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Milena, you make a lot of noise for a very small person.
Do I?
Okay.
Sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. We have no viewers anyway, so there's 0 people watching. So it doesn't matter.
Fuck you, I'm watching.
Fuck you. I'm not watching. Apparently, everyone's saying, Von Allen Sports, fuck you, I'm not watching. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, all right. So, how you guys doing? Let's see here. Who actually is here early? Elf Courage, what's up, man? Blind Assassin, Anthony's here. Michael Swearingen, nice to see you back, man. Welcome back. Nightwalker, Deutschland. It looks like I'm on here, Von Allen Sports. I'm there too. Cool. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. John Thomas Chavez, welcome. Israel, what's up, man? Okay, so that was easy. This reminds me of when I was in my first band in Dallas, Texas when I was 17. And like 3 people came to the show. And it was always the same 3 people every time. You know? Like for like the first 6 months, it's like the same 3 people every time. And you just know their names now. Yeah. Hey, welcome, blah, 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 blah. You know, like that movie, Yes Man. Yes Man, yeah. Yeah, where Munchausen by proxy. Where they have like 5 fans and they know every one of them. So.
Yeah, but then.
All right.
Big show, so. Big show.
Well, no, like I said, that was at the beginning. Yeah. Yeah. Every band starts out like that, you know. Every band starts out in a, with 3 people, and then hopefully, well, the goal is to get a lot of people, which ultimately I was lucky enough to have. So, all right. Still am, actually. I got some new music coming out next year. Going to be doing some shows and stuff, so that'll be nice. Let's see here. Okay. Bob Gines Jr. Bob Gines Sr. What's up, man? Welcome. Diaburst. Anthony Preston said to Nightwalker, he goes, you know, what'd it do? What'd it do? You know, it's a kind of a black slang for saying, what's up, man? Okay. And Nightwalker goes, oh, I'm German, so I don't know all the greetings there. Actually, I don't know it either. Milena didn't know it either. Blind Assassin, yes, it is, but I am changing publishers. So there's been a temporary removal of all my albums from all the online stores in order to reissue new ones, new versions. So that is for at the exact right now, for at the exact moment, I don't think there is anywhere to get it yet. But I will definitely, trust me, when they're re-released, they're going to be repackaged with remixes from other famous electronic bands and stuff like that, and updated artwork and stuff like that. And then, trust me, I'll be advertising the crap out of it on here. So, yeah. We have squirrels? Yeah. I heard somebody jumping. Yeah. These settings are weird. Does it look all right? Yeah. Okay.
Rumbling.
Actually, I'll probably have to go visit Nightwalker when I'm in Germany. So, Germany, there's a lot of towns there that are good for my music. So, in fact, a lot of my music friends are German. A lot of bands, German bands, actually. So, I'll just show up at Nightwalker's house. Hello, hello. So.
Guten Morgen.
Guten Morgen. Well, it's me, so I'm not going to be up that early. So I ought to be saying Guten Nacht.
Guten Nacht.
All right.
That's more like good night.
Well, it is. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to say, well, I have to go now. So, Milena, you bought me the extra large Cokes.
That's the one they apparently had, the substitute.
Well, these are huge. I have to double fist them just to drink them.
Yep. No one said you should drink all of it. Okay.
Well, if I don't hold it at the top, it will come out. Look.
Yeah, I know.
What? Was there something wrong with what I just did? Did you see something strange? Did you see something strange? Yes, I'm wearing a dress. I wear a dress. I wear a dress when I'm around all my friends in private. Yes. Come on. You guys never seen Elizabeth? All right. Whatever. Der Führer will be in attendance at the Chiefs-Dolphins game. Aye. Yeah. Mein Führer. Interesting. So I have some interesting things to talk about tonight. Just a few things that happened this week, and so I have some news. So, okay, what's going on? It's a weird coloring. That's not what I look like. All right. Why do I look all weird and like I've got leprosy or I'm sorry, jaundice? Why do I look like I have jaundice? Well, I'm all yellow.
Everybody looks yellow on screen.
Yeah, but I look like I'm dying of liver failure. Okay. No. All right. I took German in about, let's see, well, it was a long time ago. I was young, so. Okay.
Mention Rumble.
Yes, by the way, guys, Rumble. So if you want to send a super chat and you want to see your sentence or your statement or whatever, or question, put up on the screen, go to Rumble, the live show on Rumble, and I will get that, and then I will post it here. And if you're a member on Patreon, you can send me one super chat to the messenger on Patreon, or post it here, and I'll just pop it up for you, because you have a wrench next to your name, so that means you're a patron. So either way, it's good. So. Justin, you didn't miss anything. I was just kind of waiting on everybody to get on here. We're up to 18 people now, so we're pretty good. Okay. Welcome. Nightwalker, did you just ask me if I can adjust the white balance on your camera? Why? Am I too white for you? Huh? Am I too white for you? Of course, the German would make a racial comment and try to get me to say that I need to be less white. Swear. This world. Yeah, I fixed it. I think I got it okay. So, just weird lighting today. By the way, I couldn't find the brush. It's just gone.
What brush are you looking for?
What do you think? Mine, the one I bought for $30.
Oh.
All right. Kabagaya. Okay. Well, Blind Assassin, ask Nightwalker. See, growing up for Germans these days, they are literally brainwashed with something called white guilt. Literally, white guilt. They are. Ask Nightwalker; he'll tell you.
Yeah.
It's a brainwashing that every German that grows up post World War II has to feel bad and feel guilty for what Germany did in World War I and World War II. So they make every kid growing up since then feel like they are sub people, like they owe the world something, although they had nothing to do with it, and it's not even their fault. Like, it's ridiculous. Imagine if we were raised here in America and every single thing we're taught is to hate ourselves and think that we're inferior because of something that happened in the past from people that we've never met. You know, that would be difficult, and that's what Germans are going through. So
Too much shit in the world today, but
all of my I'd say every one of my music friends that are from Germany, they all have the same complex, the afraid to be proud to be German. Have you noticed that? Like, I ask them about Germany, they're always like down on it and stuff. And it's just like, you have a fascinating country. You have a lot of history there. Germany's history is so long and so old, but all anyone focuses on is the 30s and 40s. That's it. So that's all anybody talks about. It's like that's their identity, which makes no sense. Some of the greatest scientists that's ever lived is from Germany. Some of the greatest inventions ever made are from Germany. Germany had their Holy Roman Empire, which was not holy, which was not Roman, and wasn't an empire, but it was very famous and very influential across America. Germany is responsible for why I grew up Protestant. And every one of you guys in America, if you grew up Protestant Christian, it's because of a German named Martin Luther. Okay? So, again, German influence. So their history is more than just the World War II era, but that's all anybody focuses on. That's all what they focus on, unfortunately, and it's sad. It really is. So, and again, it's weird because like only Germans seem to have that reputation. Look how many people Mao killed in China. Look how many people Stalin killed in Russia. But yet it's Germans that have this stigma against them. Okay, so.
they have the biggest, oh yeah,
Huh?
the biggest stigma, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Anthony. Martin Luther, he brought in the Protestant Reformation. So in the 1500s, he went up against the Catholic Church and told them that what they were doing was wrong, and they were. He changed Christianity forever, and so England later ended up Germany became Protestant. England later became Protestant, and then by extension, we are Protestant, America. So because it was a Protestant people that founded this country. So. So all of that is because of a little German monk with funny cartoons and a bad attitude. So, and if you're wondering, yes, that's Martin Luther King Jr. was named after the monk Martin Luther. So it's a good person to be named after, I'll tell you. So. Exactly, Kevin. Nightly Sinister. Yep. Yep, Nightwalker. Absolutely. Yep. What's up, Father? So me and my dad's here now. So we've been playing some chess online. And my dad does not like my knights. He hates the way I use my knights. And Milena feels the same. It's okay. Milena's looking at me. Milena's looking at me right now. She's giving me a death stare. So.
I hate those guys.
This isn't my knight. That's yours.
Yeah, this is like your night.
I always.
You know how to move your
I always play black. So. She hates my knights. So. And I'm very good with them. They're my strongest piece. In fact, the other night when I was playing my dad, when I got a pawn across the board to promote my pawn, I didn't promote him to queen. I promoted him to a knight.
Yeah.
so I could get 3 knights. And I was able to actually, funnily enough, I was able to actually checkmate it faster. But my dad hates my knights, so every time we play now, every time, he always takes the trade. He immediately, like right off the jump,
For a night.
no, he won't go that far, but he will take his bishop and he will suicide his bishop just to get rid of my knights. And then he wants to play the rest of the game without my knights, and that way he puts me at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Because I hate the bishops. I hate the bishops. Bishops are limited, you know? So, anyway. All right. So, here's the news. Josh McDaniels gets fired from the Raiders, and Patrick Mahomes is going to Germany. Germany, again. Germany is going to be hosting the Chiefs and the Dolphins, and this is going to be Tyreek Hill playing his old team. And it's going to be different, and it's going to be interesting this time because the Dolphins are actually good. So their serial killer head coach, Mike McDaniel, actually has them playing pretty good. He still looks like a serial killer, to be honest with you. He could probably play one in a movie. It's just he creeps me out a little bit. But he's got the Dolphins playing really well. I just want to point out something though. Today, or it must have been yesterday's show. I don't know. Sometime this week, but I took a look at Skip's show, Skip with Michael Irvin and Keyshawn Johnson, and Keyshawn Johnson. By the way, I just want to point out that Keyshawn Johnson is an absolute Tom Brady hater. He always has been. It comes from that. It comes from being on the show with Max Kellerman. So. Oh, by the way, check it out, guys. Ain't that cool? You like that? Von Allen. In fact, when you hear that Von Allen, that's a German band. That's Rammstein saying that, by the way. So, another German reference. Okay, so Keyshawn has always been a Brady hater, and he picked up a lot of that from Max Kellerman because he was on a show with Max Kellerman. And what I find strange and very annoying is that there are always different rules. There are always different rules for Brady versus a quarterback who is taken in the first round. It is that draft bias. If Brady was not taken in the 6th round, nobody would treat him this way. And no one would doubt him, and no one would have these, like, every time he had a bad game, it was, oh, he's a system quarterback, okay? This is the first-round bias thing. And a quarterback not being taken in the first round can be a good thing, okay? It's good for your career because you might end up being going to a good team, okay? But as far as, like, how people treat you and the leash that you're allowed is way different. So, for example, Brock Purdy has been struggling the last few games. He was Mr. Irrelevant, taken last in the draft. All of a sudden, everyone's ready to blow it up and send him out and send him packing. It's like, really? 2 games? 2 games. This dude has been playing very well, been playing very smart, very good football since he started last year. And now 2 games, and you want to, sacrifice him to the gods, right? So it's ridiculous, but this is the bias. This is how it works. It's not just for it's mainly for quarterbacks, but actually we've seen other players do it. We've seen how they treat Julian Edelman. If Julian Edelman was a first rounder, it would be different. They would talk about him the way they, talk about other guys that are comparable to him in his position. But quarterback is the main thing. Russell Wilson. Anytime Russell Wilson did anything good, it was all defense. Anytime he did something bad, is Russell Wilson? Is he done? Is he finished? Because Russell was taken in the 3rd round. And what this is that college bias, because most people who watch NFL watch college and they know these guys and they see them up and coming. And not only that, the pundits, they prop up these college kids when they're coming in, and they don't want to be wrong. They don't want to be the guy that said that Carson Wentz is going to be the next great Dan Marino or whatever, and then they look like idiots because a 6th rounder or 7th rounder is playing better. that they never saw or they never intended on or anything like that. So they all have egos wrapped up into this, and this is the problem. But there's also the bias. And sometimes it's they don't realize it, okay? It's a unconscious bias. It's just something that's in them and they can't help. So Peyton Manning's first year, Peyton Manning's taken number one overall by the Colts. His first year, he leads the league in interceptions and sets the record for the most picks for a rookie quarterback in history. Okay, now if that was anybody else, you would be like, okay, this is a problem, but you give him time and you change the team around him. So most quarterbacks don't get that benefit. That doesn't happen. Okay, so that's not exactly typical. Okay, but no matter what Peyton did later, no matter how good he was or how bad he was, if he was good, it was because he's so great. If he was bad, it's Peyton Manning. But if Tom Brady was bad or had a bad game, it's the defense. If Tom was taken in the first round, you'd never hear this, okay? It's the Aaron Rodgers effect. It's why everyone, went with Aaron Rodgers, constantly talking him up. It's why now they're doing it with Patrick Mahomes. So it's this bias. Patrick right now has the 6th best defense in the league. 6th, number 6, okay? Just for reference, New England Patriots in 2001 were 6th. So now they're saying that Patrick does not have any offensive weapons. And this is the problem. This is why they're not looking so great, and his stats are not that great, and people are out there dropping balls and things like that. Okay. So here's what I'm expecting out of Patrick. No weapons on offense and the 6th best defense in the league. I am expecting them to win the Super Bowl this year. Okay? Now here's why. Because Tom Brady had no weapons, nobody to work with. But also Tom was at a bigger disadvantage because he didn't even have an offensive coach like Andy Reid. Tom also had the 6th best defense in the league. So what they're saying is that when they say, it's all defense, Tom Brady, it was just the defense that carried him. They're saying that any quarterback could have done that. Any quarterback could have done that. Although Drew Bledsoe went 5-11 with the exact same defense and the exact same team, and then actually started out 0-2 because in the second game against the Jets, Tom came in and it was too late to get the victory there. So, all right. Now, this is what I'm expecting. So, because I've been told by everybody that Tom only won that Super Bowl because of defense and any other quarterback could have done that. I've been told that. So I need Patrick to win the Super Bowl this year with the 6th best defense so far. If they stay on that trajectory, he's going to need to win without any weapons, okay? Because it's just like that's how it works, right? That's how it works. Remember? Top 10 defense. So Tom Brady's always had a top 10 defense, okay? Well, then I expect the same thing for Patrick. I'm wondering why Patrick needed a kicker to win the Super Bowl for him. Have you wondered that, Milena? That's strange, isn't it? Why did Patrick? I'm just saying, okay? Call me a hater. I don't give a shit, okay? But tell me, why did Patrick need a kicker to win him the Super Bowl last year? So he comes down to the field at the end. He cannot convert. He cannot convert on his third down. And then they call a bullshit pass interference call. That's a different matter. But then, so his kicker, they run it, and his kicker kicks the game-winning field goal. So he needed his kicker to win. All right. Why, Patrick? Why couldn't you have scored the touchdown on the third down? That's what they say. So they take it away from Tom. They say in 2001, he needed his kicker. In 2003, he needed his kicker. All right. So, according to them, Tom needed to score a touchdown just to please them, even though it wasn't necessary. So I'm saying, doesn't Patrick? So Patrick needed to score the touchdown, right? If we're going to stay consistent here. As idiotic as it is. All right. So I want to know, one, why Patrick, why do you need a kicker to win your Super Bowl for you? Why? Just wondering. And I'm also wondering if you're going to win the Super Bowl this year because you have the 6th best defense in the league. Because apparently, I have it on good authority that when your quarterback has a top 10 defense, they have to win the Super Bowl. They automatically, it means that you're going to win it. So how about this? Patrick right now has an offensive head coach and the 6th best defense in the league. That's a pairing that Tom never got. So I'm expecting a Super Bowl right now. But I'm hearing a lot of excuses. I'm hearing a lot of stuff that we used to tell people, try to explain to them about situations like in 2006 when I was desperately trying to tell everybody that Tom has nobody to throw to. And it was so true that Bill went out and got Randy Moss just to fix that problem. And Tom still got them to the AFC Championship game with the worst receiving core I had ever seen up until that point. So Patrick needs to win the Super Bowl. That's how it works, right? Yeah. All I hear is defense, defense, defense. Top 10 defense, top 10 defense. Okay. Well, he's got one. Let's see what happens. Because it's automatic, apparently. It's automatic. Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. Now, anybody just tuning in, I'm being absolutely sarcastic as fuck. Okay? I am just trying to make a point that everything they said about Tom is ridiculous. It's absurd to say that Patrick needed his kicker to win a Super Bowl when he got them in the field goal range, just like Tom did, and they kicked the field goal and won. That's what you're expecting. That's what you're wanting, okay? And no, a top 10 defense does not mean you're automatically going to win the Super Bowl. That is stupid. Okay? That is absolutely idiotic. All right. So there's that. Before I move on to the next topic, does anybody have any comments about this? Let me take a look here. Jaeger Tharn says all the hater arguments against Tom are more applicable to Patrick than they were to Tom. So they are. And that's true. Excuse me. Sorry. Just need to get rid of that. It was starting to disintegrate. All right. Yeah. So that's absolutely the case. And apparently the rules are different though. Like they don't apply to anyone else. And that is the bias, okay? If Patrick was taken in the 5th round or 6th round or something like that, then the sky is falling. And by the way, everybody would be talking about how he's a system quarterback and all this stuff, okay? They would be talking about how Alex Smith was doing the exact same thing that Patrick was doing, okay? You can go back and watch Chiefs games. Go back, pick any Chiefs game, okay, with Alex Smith as quarterback, and you will be like, holy crap, that looks like Patrick out there. What's going on here? You see Alex running around. You see Alex no-look passes. You see Alex shovel passing to people for touchdowns and weird plays. You see Alex bombing it to Tyreek Hill, a wide-open Tyreek Hill. Does that sound familiar? It's all the same thing, okay? So everybody would just be saying, oh, well, Patrick is just, went into a good situation, blah, blah, blah. But since he's a first rounder, nobody talks about this. It's a bias, dude. It's a first round bias, and it's absolutely ludicrous because it should be the opposite. If you're not taken in the first round and you become great, you should be praised for that. All right? There used to be a time in this country where we loved the underdog story. We loved the guy who pulls himself up by his bootstraps and actually gets things done and actually makes something happen out of nothing. That used to be the American dream and the American story is how you do stuff like that. Tom Brady is the epitome of the American dream. It is the willing yourself into something that you weren't supposed to be. Okay, so nobody thought that Tom was going to be the greatest of all time. And he did it. He made it happen. Look, through hard work, he actually transformed himself to be that. That's a great story. And that used to be praised. That used to be something that we loved. But now when you do it, you're resented. You're resented for it. Unless you were the chosen one, unless you go in the first round, and that's what you're supposed to be. So that's how it works now. But if you do anything outside of that, well, it's people don't like it. It pisses them off. I've been in sports bars where people say, oh, screw Tom Brady. I don't like Tom Brady. Why? More times than not, their excuse was because he has everything. He has the looks, he has the wife, he has the money, he has the Super Bowl rings, and that pissed them off. Sometimes, I'm not saying it's always like that, but sometimes it's as simple as that. But if you wanted to write a book on American success stories, talk about guys like Henry Ford, okay, Rockefeller, people like that. If you want to talk about sports, you mentioned Michael Jordan, kid who didn't even start for his high school team or college team. I can't remember which one it was, but his coach made a bad decision. Michael Jordan never forgot that. Michael Jordan would spend all day working on his free throws, working on his shot outside. And he willed himself to be the best. When he got into Chicago, he couldn't get past the Detroit Pistons. With Dennis Rodman was on the Pistons, the bad boy Pistons at the time, and the Bulls couldn't get past them. So Jordan had enough. So he got a new workout and he started getting stronger. And he knew he had to get stronger. He willed himself to become better and better and better. That's the success story. And then you would have to put Tom Brady. But nobody thinks about this. Nobody considers it. And it's weird. So in this country, we used to praise those things. It used to be something that mattered to us. It used to be something that we were blown away by. Now it's, if you're not the chosen one, we don't care. And we don't want you to be successful because it hurts our little fragile egos. So that's unfortunate that it's this way. So. I didn't know you could do that on Rumble.
I know. I just saw it. I'm like,
That's cool. Tyrone Williams. Navy guy, by the way. Dad, you have a fellow sailor in the chat. Tyrone Williams. Yes, of course, Henry Ford was a communist or suspected communist, but that does nothing to do with him being an American success story. So that's the American dream. That's what people look for, and Tom Brady is all about that. I mean, he made himself Tom Brady. Nobody made Tom Brady except Tom Brady. He did that. It's amazing. Yep, Jalen. Jalen says only really successful people have millions of haters. That lets you know that you've succeeded. Yeah. Yep. Now, but what I'm looking for is balance from the football community, from the analysts, and from the other, the fans, the NFL fans and stuff like that. what's strange is that the people who gave Tom the most credit were other players. So players who played against him. That was the that was where the respect came from. So the defensive players that were across the line from Tom and watched how he worked and watched how he did things, they were the ones that respected him. They're the ones that always say good things. But it's the everybody else who just doesn't understand it and doesn't get it, and that's unfortunate. Yeah, you have to understand, I see Jalen and Elva Courage. Just real quick, I just want to point this out. You have to understand that at the time when Henry Ford was a suspected communist sympathizer or whatever you want to call it, this was at a time when people wasn't really sure what communism was. It was like a new idea. Like I don't think a lot of people understood how bad it was going to get. It sounds like, it's this utopian idea. It sounds good. It sounds like, oh, everybody happy and everybody living in, but it doesn't work like that. And I just don't know how much of it people understood back then. It wasn't as clear as what we know it to be. So I don't know. I don't know how much of that really mattered. But it's true, Jalen. It is ironic. So. But yeah. Okay, so moving on to Josh McDaniels. So Josh McDaniels got fired by the Raiders again. So now we have the Raiders with a team that is got no head coach, but is paying a head coach. So right now they're currently paying John Gruden. Okay, so he had a 10-year contract. I think they're in fourth or fifth year of paying John Gruden, and now they're going to have to pay Josh McDaniels for several years. So they're paying 2 head coaches to not work. Isn't that beautiful? So that means that the Raiders are going to have to give a new contract to a new head coach next year, and they will be paying 3 head coaches at the same time. That's so Raiders, right? Now, I agree that Josh McDaniels isn't a good coach. We tried to warn people. If you're a Patriots fan, you know that we knew, okay? We knew better. We knew the deal. It was obvious. Josh was never going to be able to put together as a head coach. Offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator and head coach are different jobs. They are completely different skill sets, completely different things, okay? One does not mean the other. It just doesn't. It's like you can be a good president, or you can be a good governor, but a terrible president. You can be a great president, but you were a terrible governor. They're different jobs, okay? It's just much different. And Josh McDaniels didn't have it, okay? And he wasn't even, I wouldn't even call him the greatest offensive coordinator, okay? And there was a lot of things about him that was very frustrating, especially, at important times. And so Patriots fans knew this, and they knew that it was more than just Josh. Josh wasn't the key to everything. And we knew that. And we knew that when he went to Denver, and we knew that when he came back, and we found it funny that the Colts wanted him, and we were like, sure, take him. Josh McDaniels on the Colts, that would eliminate an AFC rival. So, send him over there. I was happy. I was happy to move him, but he didn't take the job for whatever reason. And now he's been fired by the Raiders. And we tried to tell the Raiders, posting and stuff. It's like, hey, you don't want this. I tried to tell Raiders fans on Twitter, no, you don't want this guy. Don't be so excited. You're not getting the Patriot way, okay? Because the Patriot way is the Tom Brady way. And now we know that. So I think that you don't fire Josh McDaniels until the end of the year. Nothing is going to matter, and nothing's going to change. Okay, you're going to win a few games here and there, but you would have won a few games with Josh. But what if Josh? I'm just going with the odds here. What if Josh had, and he's only in his second year? What if Josh had worked it out? What if it starts clicking at some point, and you got rid of him too soon? Okay, so you just don't know that's going to happen. By blowing it up right now, you're not saving your season. You're just automatically, it's just a lateral move. There's really nothing changed there probably. But what if? What if Josh actually, what if it clicked? What if whatever he was working on started to happen? Okay, so that happens sometimes. I'm not saying it would have. Okay, I don't think it would have, but I'm just playing the odds here. You got to play the odds. And I just don't understand the move right now. What's the point? And, just do it at the end of the year. Now, okay, whatever. Either way, it was a bad hire to begin with, so whatever, But it's such a Raiders thing to do, right? But one of the best jobs in the United States of America to have is a head coach in the NFL. Your contract is guaranteed. It is guaranteed. And when you get fired, you get to sit at home and do nothing and get paid. Teams are literally paying you to stay away from them. You suck so bad that they're paying you to stay home. Like, we're going to pay you so you don't have to be around. That's funny, okay? That's a good gig. And there have been a lot of guys who have stolen a lot of money from a lot of teams in the name of the Belichick way, of the Patriot way, okay? Let's look at some of them. The obvious ones, okay, we know Josh, but Bill O'Brien is probably did the best out of all of them, but we know how that ended up with Houston. We have Matt Patricia, which was a disaster in Detroit. We always knew that was going to be a disaster. Eric Mangini. Eric Mangini stole money from two different teams. So he stole money from the Jets, and then he stole money from the Browns. Why anybody would give him a second job after that is ridiculous. But it's very strange, Bill Belichick's coaching tree is absolutely pathetic. Okay, it's utterly pathetic. Brian Flores went to Dolphins and then got fired. Everybody. Joe Judge goes to the New York Giants, gets fired. Every one of these guys suck. Romeo Crennel, he's the coach of the Chiefs, and at one point, I think, was he interim head coach in Houston or something? I don't know. Failure, okay? Charlie Weiss goes to Notre Dame, failure. All right? That is just the deal. It's how it is, man. It's not his way, okay? Now, for comparison, if you look at Bill Parcells, he produced Belichick and Tom Coughlin, okay? Which is there's 8 Super Bowls between the two coaches. Then you've got Bill Walsh. So with Bill Walsh, let me see. So under Bill Walsh, you have Sam Weish, who was head coach of the Bengals for a while. They went to 2 Super Bowls. George Seifert, who took over for Bill Walsh and won 2 Super Bowls with the 49ers. Dennis Green, pretty good coach. He never made it to a Super Bowl, but had that good Vikings team going. Mike Holmgren went on to be the Packers head coach, won a Super Bowl, then went to 2 Super Bowls, won 1, then went to Seattle and got to a Super Bowl in 2005 and lost that one. And then you have Ray Rhodes, which I'm just talking about who he produced. He produced Mike McCarthy, Super Bowl coach, Sean Payton, Super Bowl coach, John Harbaugh, a Super Bowl coach. Let's see. Under George Seifert, you've got Gary Kubiak, who won a Super Bowl in 2015. Under Sam Weiss, you've got Dick LeBeau. We all know Dick. He's a great defensive coordinator. Under Mike Holmgren, look at Mike Holmgren's coaching tree here, okay? Now remember, Mike Holmgren is under Bill Walsh, but Mike Holmgren then produces Steve Mariucci, John Gruden, who won a Super Bowl, Dick Geron, Andy Reid, who's won 2 Super Bowls. There's Mike Sherman, Marty Morganwig, and Jim Zorn. So those are all head coaches, but they didn't pan out. But you've got some Super Bowl coaches here. Under Dennis Green, you got Brian Billick and Tony Dungy, both won a Super Bowl each. So you can say there's a Bill Walsh way, okay? You can say there's a Bill Parcells way. You could say there's a Mike Holmgren way. You cannot say that there's a Bill Belichick way because it would work. It would work somewhere. Not all of these guys would be failures, and they're miserable failures. They're not just failures. They're miserable failures. Like I said, the only one that we can actually point to that actually did okay was Houston, was Bill O'Brien. He still ended up fired. So there is none of these guys even have a championship victory or Super Bowl appearance. None of them even had playoff experience except for Bill O'Brien. I'm pretty sure. Bill O'Brien and the Houston Texans were really the only ones, right? So there is no Bill Belichick way. This is the Tom Brady way. That's what it is, okay? What did all those coaches not have? None of them had Brady, okay? But all those other coaches under the coaching trees that I was just talking about, they all went out on their own without their guy, and they did it. They made things happen. A lot of them were able to get Super Bowls or even get to Super Bowls and make a name for themselves. So I think this is clearly a clear indication of what the Patriot way was. And is somebody going to be dumb enough to give Josh McDaniels another head coaching job? I'm just wondering. So I hope not. Probably not. I think the reason why he got a second chance was because he went back to New England and they won those Super Bowls. And then people kind of forgot about his failure in Denver and gave him a second chance. And people like to look at Belichick failed in Cleveland, and then they gave him a second chance and look what happened. So I think a lot of people kind of look at that and they want a piece of that. It's funny how these teams and organizations and everybody hates the Patriots all over the last 20 years, and they hate them so badly, but yet all these general managers and all of these owners just wanted a little piece of it. They wanted to bring a piece of it into their locker room. They wanted to have it in their organization. It's funny how that works, isn't it? So yeah, well, with Jalen, with Bill and the Browns, at least he was in but he would play. He coached for the Browns for at least 5 years. Eric didn't even last that long. Yes, Sean Payton did work for Parcells in Dallas. Yep. I'm just catching up, guys. For those of y'all listening on the podcast, I'm just reading the comments here. Yeah, it's amazing how people don't understand or don't see. They don't understand what really drove the Patriots, and even we didn't understand to a certain extent. I always knew that Brady was more important, but I didn't think the difference was so big. I thought that Belichick had more, importance than what was real. So, but you can't. We can't. We have to be honest now, right? I mean, we have to be real. We can't have our heads buried in the sand. Bill was on the verge of getting fired before Tom Brady came in, and he had already been a failure as a coach. He even had some controversy before he became a Patriots coach. So, he failed at the Browns, and then the Browns didn't want him and didn't trust him enough to even become a coach of their new team, the Baltimore Ravens. And then he inherits the Jets from Bill Parcells because Bill Parcells stepped down. And then he leaves the Jets, and he kind of screws them over a bit. Although I'm on Bill's side of that situation, but still, I'm talking about from Robert Kraft's perspective, that you've got a guy that's 5-11 and then now 0-2, and you're thinking, okay, look at all this baggage. Did I screw up? And then it changed. And then now in the post-Brady era, in 2020, Bill tried to explain. By the way, this is the first time, in 2020 was the first time Bill has ever tried to explain or excuse a situation. It's the first time he's ever actually talked to something like that. And he said, well, we sold out, in order to put those teams together, blah, blah, blah. Basically saying that, it was the roster and all this stuff. And the reason why they're not good in 2020 is because they don't have the roster and they didn't have the cap room. Okay, fair enough. I even said that in 2020. I said, okay, so 2020 is going to be a rough year. 2020 is going to be a year where Tom and Gronk are both going to have, I think Gronk's dead money lasted 2 years. Tom's going to have dead money in 2020. And there were a few other players that were costing against the cap. So it was not going to be easy. But what was your excuse in 2021 when Robert Kraft let you spend money like a crazy man? 2022, you still suck. And right now, you still suck. What now? What do you have to say? Like, I don't know what's going on. I'll be right back, guys. I'm going to fix this lighting situation real quick. Don't go anywhere or I will hunt you all down. I think the bill on the hat was causing the disruption there, maybe. So, okay. Bitcoin Motors, yes, you're late. You're late. Don't let it happen again. All right. So let me. It's cool. Actually, you're on time. So we're about to. You guys want your quarterbacks real quick, and we can do that, and then we can go back to talking about whatever you guys want. And don't forget, you can send a super chat on Rumble. And if you're not a member on Patreon, the link is in the chat right there. It's at the very top. So you can go there and do that. As you know, we have been demonetized by YouTube, and they suck. So that's it. That's the deal. So. Blind Assassin asked me, side question, will you go to Brady's Hall of Fame speech? I'm absolutely going to do everything in my power to go to that, yes. Probably going to have to buy scalp tickets or something, but yeah. Absolutely. The thing, though, about... Okay, so the Hall of Fame, it just it depresses me. Okay, it depresses me because the Hall of Fame thing that doesn't seem to have much meaning anymore. And when you're putting a guy in like Tom Brady, who's got arguably three Hall of Fame careers. And he's got a bust there that's just the same as Joe Namath's or other guys that were kind of like, I don't know, I wish there was a way where they could set up a different area that is the elite of the elite. Okay, so I wish they could have a room that is just like the top 5 greatest, or how about this, a room of guys who are the best at their position. Okay, so you have Brady as the quarterback in that room, and then you've got Lawrence Taylor, okay, for linebacker, and you've got Deion Sanders for defensive back, or whoever you guys think is I think it's Deion, but okay, I think that would be really cool. So running back, I think you put Jim Brown in there. I don't know what you guys think, but yeah, I think that would be interesting. I think that would be kind of cool. So it's a way to kind of separate them without insulting the rest of the guys. It's like the upper echelon of the greatest, because I'm sorry, but when they eventually put Eli Manning in there and you've got Eli next to Joe Montana, that offends me. Okay, that is absolutely disgusting. And I know I've spoken about this before, but with the Hall of Fame, I think that there are people in the Hall of Fame that shouldn't be there. And that's only because I think it should be insanely hard to get into the Hall of Fame. I think you have to do things that are just so above and beyond just amazing, or you have to do something enough to where there's no even a question. As much as I love Kurt Warner, I don't think Kurt did enough to be in the Hall of Fame under the requirements that I personally have. Now, under their requirements, yes, then yeah, let's put Kurt in there. But he's not, he didn't, in my opinion, didn't get there. I don't think Warren Moon is a Hall of Famer under my criteria. I think that you have to, I'll be honest with you, sometimes I wonder about Dan Marino. So I know that sounds crazy, and that's everyone probably is like, whoa, okay? But I didn't say Dan Marino wasn't a Hall of Famer. I just said that I wonder sometimes about him. I think back, and I think that I think a lot of Dan's argument that people have for him is all the yards that he was throwing for in the 80s. Okay. Well, okay, but did that translate to anything? Did it matter? In the end, did it matter? And it didn't. The stats were nice, but they didn't do anything. He got to one Super Bowl in 84 and got absolutely destroyed by the 49ers and then never could get back. Okay? Now, this was the time when Dan Marino was playing for the Dolphins. This was a time where the AFC was weak. Okay? Where the NFC won how many Super Bowls straight? Something ridiculous. 15, whatever it was. Something insane, right? He couldn't even get back. I'm not saying even win. He couldn't get back in the AFC. How bad the AFC was and how the difference. He couldn't even get back there. And your peer who was in the AFC at the time was John Elway. And John Elway was able to get there 5 times. So John Elway was able to take advantage of it. Although they got crushed because the NFC was just so much better at the time. This was before the salary cap and all that, before the balance happened and everything. So it just ended up that way. There's no real reason why other than that, but it just happened that way. But so I've wondered about Dan. And I'll tell you what makes I never questioned Dan before, but I'll tell you what made me question him. It's when I've been working on the greatest quarterbacks of all time formula. I know it's a little late, but it's got to be good and it's got to be correct. I want this thing to last the ages. I want people to be able to scrutinize it and it hold up years from now, okay? But while I've been doing that, I've picked up on these things that it's like, so with Dan, again, I wonder about him. It doesn't mean I'm kicking him out of the Hall of Fame. I just say that I wonder about him. And the point is this. All I'm trying to say is that the Hall of Fame should be insanely difficult. Insanely difficult. It should be absolutely just, there should not be so many. Guys, getting a bust made of yourself, a statue, okay, like the freaking Romans, okay, that the Romans would do for a Roman emperor or something, to get a bust of yourself and then put into that place, that should be the craziest honor ever. If you're not even great enough to receive a statue outside of the stadium of your home team, it makes me wonder, should you get a bust in the Hall of Fame? I mean, were you that important? Were you? Okay, so we've got half of the Hall of Fame that is just a bunch of people who met a quota, who just got put in who met a quota. You know, we've got guys that have been dead getting put in there. So that's another thing I have a problem with. If you couldn't make it when you were freshly retired, when everybody knew what you were about, and you were at your most popular and most well known, and everybody was very familiar with your work, and you still couldn't get in, but yeah, I'm supposed to put you in 25 years later. That's absolutely stupid. Okay? No, you couldn't get in because you couldn't get in because you weren't good enough. How does waiting make this all of a sudden? Because remember, there's no differentiation. You make someone wait for 20 years and they get a bust just the same as the other guys, but the guys who got in on the first try. There's no differentiation from them. There should be. So you couldn't even make it against your own? You couldn't make it when you were up there on this, to get in against your own? I was talking about the Hall of Fame the other day about the Patriots. I said Ty Law was Hall of Famer. I forgot that they put Richard Seymour in the Hall of Fame. You know why I forgot Richard Seymour? Because it was last year, and he's not a Hall of Famer. I remember, as soon as I saw it, I remember that, oh my God, they did do that. They did put him in. He's not, okay? He's not. Again, my criteria is, did you change the game? Are you somebody that just, if you didn't exist, the NFL would just be much worse for it. And you can't, these guys are being put in. And then we've got the guys from the old days, from the early era. You got like half the team being put in because they were the only team. You know, it's like, okay, oh, he played for Lombardi. Let's throw him in there because everybody knows who they are at the time. But if you look at what they did and what they accomplished, a lot of it doesn't hold up. It's like, I'm not talking about comparing them to now. I'm talking about comparing them to their own people, their own peers. It's just not enough. It's just not enough. A lot of them don't deserve it. And they just keep watering it down. They keep watering it down over and over and over. So when Peyton Manning went in, I thought that Peyton should be alone. I thought he should be up there alone by himself. But no, they had a freaking party up there. It's like, hey, you want to be in the Hall of Fame? Oh, hey, did you play in the NFL? Yeah, I played a little bit in the NFL, some in college. You want to be in the Hall of Fame? Come here. Because we need a quota up here. We need like 7 people up here because that's just how it is. No, Peyton Manning should have been up there alone, completely alone. You're just throwing anybody in there. So. Yeah, well, the thing about Dan is again, and I could say the same for Dan Fouts. I could say the same thing for Phillip Rivers, and they're going to put Phillip Rivers in. They will. What did it translate to? Did it translate to anything? On a smaller scale, I mentioned the 2018, this Super Bowl right here, this Super Bowl. Julian Edelman was given the MVP. Julian was given an MVP for an offense that barely scored. In a game, a 13-3 game, when your defense holds a Rams offense like that to 3 points, I think the MVP should have gone to Gilmore or a representative of the defense, probably Gilmore. That's just on a smaller scale, but the logic is the same. What did it translate to? What did all of that translate to? What did all those stats do for you? What did all of Dan Marino's yards do? What did all that stuff Fouts was doing? Fouts and the, Air Coryell. He never could get there. He couldn't get there. Warren Moon had a lot of good Oilers teams, and they just folded. They always folded. They never could get there. And what do you do with that? What do you do with that? I don't know. So, it makes you wonder. I'm not even saying Dan needed to win a Super Bowl. What I'm saying is that he needed to at least get back. He needed to at least appear in some. Just one out of that whole time, that long career. Like I said, the weak AFC, long career, you couldn't get there one when Elway got there 5 times. Your peer in your same conference got there 5 times. You couldn't do it? You couldn't get back there even once or twice more? Like, I don't understand that. That's weird. Like, It sounds like stat whoring to me, honestly. Now, a lot of you are much younger, but I had the privilege of watching Dan Marino play, and I'll tell you something. He contributed a lot to his own demise, like their own failures. He was very selfish. He wanted to just get his stats. He wanted to do things his way, but he wanted, of course, top money and all these things. But he actually contributed a lot to the not getting anywhere, you know. So he's not innocent of it, you know. It's not like you can just. Quarterback is more than just throwing the ball. Is he the best thrower, passer I've ever seen? Of course he is. Okay, that's not. I don't even think anyone disputes that. But there's more than a quarterback than just that. Way more. All right. Yeah, and I thank you, Ace. That that makes it even worse. So it's not like we can say that Marino had a bad coach. He had a Hall of Fame coach, a guy who already had a Hall of Fame career before he ever got to Dan. Okay, so we're talking a guy who coached Johnny Unitas, coached the undefeated Dolphins in '72. This is a great coach, okay? A bit overrated, but he's a Hall of Fame coach. And you can't make that excuse, you know? Like people were saying for Aaron Rodgers, oh, well, he never had Bill Belichick or whatever. Well, Dan Marino had Don Shula, okay? So what are we talking about? When you have a coach like that, you have to make something happen, right? Like if you're a Hall of Famer, you have to make something happen. If that's who you are. So, all right. Elva Courage sent me a funny super chat on Patreon. Let me post it here. Elva Courage says, I'm going into the NFL Hall of Fame in 2050 when they start inducting hardcore fans. Yes, because why not, right? They're already inducting, contributors. Contributors! What the hell does that mean? Okay? What does that mean? Do you guys remember, oh my God, it's so pathetic. You guys remember the 100th anniversary, right? The 100th anniversary of the NFL. And they were like handing out Hall of Fame busts like they're candy, right? So, Jimmy Johnson, you're a Hall of Famer. Bill Cowher, you're a Hall of Famer. Everybody's a Hall of Famer. Oh, you worked on this. You were the cameraman for this. You're in the Hall of Fame as a contributor. Oh, we liked you a lot. You were pretty cool. You're general manager. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're the son of whoever. You're a Hall of Famer. Okay? How many owners are they going to put in? An owner? An owner? Really? I mean, I get there's some exceptions. Okay? I get like not even as a coach, but I get putting John Madden in as a contributor. Okay, I understand that. That makes sense. Okay, I mean, there are very few people who have done more for football and popularizing it than John Madden. Okay, so even without being a coach, like that makes sense. But are we just going to put everybody in? Every owner? So any owner who wins multiple Super Bowls, oh, you're going to be in the Hall of Fame. You know? It's getting crowded in there, man. It's getting crowded. It's so stupid. Unbelievable. So. Yeah, Steve Sable, that's appropriate, okay? Okay, so that's appropriate. So there's the exceptions. There's the very, very few exceptions. But when they made those exceptions, that opened the floodgates for now. So now, instead of saying, oh, well, we only made that exception for Sable, or we only made that exception for John Madden, now it's anybody who comes along who's just halfway known. Okay? Guys, at this rate, they're going to put Chris Collinsworth in. Not as a wide receiver. He'll never make it as a wide receiver. They're going to put him in as a contributor. Chris Collinsworth. Think about that. They will put him in. They'll put Joe Buck in. All right? That's where this is going. That's what they're doing. That's the deal here. Okay? So it's pathetic. I think again, I'm not against making an exception for contribution, but they open the floodgates for that too. So now it's whatever, you know. So, but again, I cannot. How the hell does Bill Cowher get into the Hall of Fame? I want to know that. How? Okay. Enough. All right. Okay. Let's get you guys your quarterbacks real quick. Yeah, when do I get to go in the Hall of Fame, Satire Junk? This is some bull crap. They are going to put Phillip Rivers in. They will. They will put him in. I'm telling you. I like Phillip. Okay? Nothing against him. I like Kurt Warner, big fan. I grew up loving Warren Moon. These guys are not Hall of Famers. They're just not. Not in my opinion. I just don't think they make the cut. I think they're close. Of the three, Kurt is obviously the closest. He's right there. And I think the argument to put Kurt in, the winning argument to put Kurt in, is his story of where he came from and how it happened. I think that is what puts him in there. But that should have been settled the very first time he was up for the Hall of Fame. So if that should have been a no-brainer, right? That should have just been boom automatically. Shouldn't have. If you're going to do that, if you're going to put him in, they should be able to get in right away. So, but they're going to do the waiting game bull crap. And again, nobody cares if you waited or not. There's no differentiation once you get a bust. So. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, Phil from Cali is correct. Phillip's pullout game is pretty good. Wait, no, it's not. Actually, it's terrible. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. So, what is that shit that keeps happening on the screen? Stop doing that. So. Uh-oh, someone didn't like what I said. I must have offended a Chargers fan. Phil, where are you at in California? You're not Phil Sims, are you? Yes, Ace, they're going to try to put Matt Stafford in the Hall of Fame. Because of that Mickey Mouse ring. Yes. Yep. See, I'm just going back and reading some of your comments. So it's not Marino's stats I'm questioning. I'm questioning, did those stats equal something? Did they matter at the end of the day? Did they convert? Did they convert to anything? And with the Dan Marino standard, here's what's going to happen. With the bulk stat standard, they're going to apply that to Phillip Rivers. They're going to apply that to Matthew Stafford and guys like that. And even though Dan is way better than them, but they're going to use that as the extension. So a lot of these guys are going to accumulate numbers. They're going to get that eventually. And they're going to use that as the way in. And again, I'm not kicking Dan out. I'm just saying I've wondered about him sometimes. So if I'm wondering about Dan, I certainly am not going to put in these other longevity stat guys just because they've hung around long enough. I mean, you hang around long enough, you're going to get those things. I don't care about that. I want to know, were you the best quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in your era every year? If you take Eli Manning has volume numbers, oh, he's in top 10 yards. Who gives a crap? I don't care, okay? Every average quarterback right now, if they just play 15 years, they're going to be there. They're going to have that. That's just how it works. Who cares, okay? But look up Eli Manning each year, top 5 quarterbacks. Is he there in anything other than leading the league in interceptions? He was never a good quarterback in any year, ever. He was never that guy. It's not enough, okay? It's the reverse of the Dan Marino effect. It's the he got 2 Super Bowls, but he had nothing to do with it, and virtually nothing to do with it, and he was terrible almost this whole time he was there. So, come on. You gotta put it all together, man. You gotta it's just but the hatred for the Patriots is what's going to get Eli in. Okay? That's what's going to get Eli in. That's what's going to happen. Nathan Peterman for the Hall of Fame. I just think that the induction method for Hall of Fame, I think the analysis and debate and arguments need to be much more intense. And most importantly, okay, here's one thing that discredits the Hall of Fame. We can't see the arguments. They don't show us the debate. They don't broadcast it to us, okay? And that means tons of bias can sneak in, all right? Bias for or against. And we need to know what those biases are, okay? So they don't even let us see. They don't even let us know about it. So I think that's a bit ridiculous. Israel says, Aaron, remember when I announced it here live when Jimmy Johnson got into the Hall of Fame and you went all rage mode? Yeah, I wasn't happy about that. Yeah. Okay, Tyrone. All right, Tyrone's fixed it. It's over. I'm wrong. Dan Marino was an Ace Ventura. I mean, that's GOAT right there. That's GOAT status. You know, according to Joe Montana anyway. He's the GOAT, right? Montana is not happy about, Brady passing him up, which is, so what you do is when something like that happens, a lot of people, they'll default to somebody that's not a threat to them at all and no comparison, and that nobody's really going to believe. Okay. So Joe, saying that Marino is the GOAT, he's going complete opposite. So he's going to a guy that has no rings and is just all stats. So Joe is pointing to a just pure passer, pure throwing the ball type of guy. And Joe knows that that's not going to affect him really, okay? But what he's trying to say is that is what makes a quarterback. So it doesn't connect to him. So he doesn't say he's the GOAT, but it's a way to discredit Tom. That's what he's trying to do. So which doesn't make any sense that he does that, but he didn't make any sense for a long time. All these years, he didn't make any sense. I pointed that out before in the documentary. So he just, listen, Joe. Nobody disputes your greatness, man. Like, it's just, there's a guy that just obliterated your records. Like, it's just, there's a guy that came in and destroyed every quarterback metric you can have. Choose what you like, okay? What's your poison? Pick your poison, right? So for you, you guys out there, it may be a Hall of Famer is a guy who wins a lot of Super Bowls, okay? So maybe for you, you think Terry Bradshaw, you think Joe Montana, you think Troy Aikman, and guys like that, right? Okay. So Tom Brady's got that, but he's nearly doubled Joe Montana's and Terry Bradshaw's. Okay? So if you put Tom up against his peers, you could put all their rings together and it still wouldn't equal Tom's. That's strange, right? That's like ridiculous. That it should not be that way. That should not exist. What if you like the stats? What if you're a stats guy and you think yards and touchdowns and records and all that is the thing? Well, Tom's got that too. Okay, so Tom does have the flashy seasons of 50 yards in a year. Okay, he's got those things. Okay, what if you're an MVP guy? All right, well, Tom's got 3. Guess how many Marino's got? 1. Tom's been MVP 3 times. Okay? So you like individual stats? I mean, if that's your thing, do you like individual performances? Do you like big game performances? Okay, well, Tom's done that 5 times. 5 times Tom Brady has been the best player in the Super Bowl that he's played in. Or he's won. He's actually been the best player in Super Bowls he's lost too, like Super Bowl 52, which still gives me PTSD because of how stupid it was. So what do you like? Do you like winning? Do you think consistency is there? Well, nobody's won more than Tom Brady. What do you want? What do you like? What is it in a quarterback that you think is relevant, that you think matters? Tom Brady has that. And there's no other player that can come close and say those things. There's nobody else. It's not even close. So Joe Montana needs to take a step back and just say, listen, I got passed up by a kid who wanted to be me. And I think that is the greatest compliment you could ever have. And if all this time, if Joe had been going around saying, Tom, I'm flattered that Tom grew up, looked up to me and wanted to, and then he went and look what he did. He's amazing. Joe Montana would look so much better. But all this petty stuff, no matter what you do, Joe, no matter how petty you are and all these things you say, it's not going to change it. It's not, so you're just making yourself look bad. It's not, somebody's just not going to all of a sudden say, oh, well, Joe's the GOAT. The argument is dead. The argument is dead. It's over. It's beyond dead. It's ridiculous. It's so pathetic. It's sad, actually, to see him acting like that, because I love Joe, and I'm a big fan of Joe Montana, and I don't like seeing him act that way. It sucks. Yeah, I got it, Jalen. Yeah, I'll let you know after we do the quarterback. So if there's any other questions you guys have, or want me to answer, any other comments you want me to talk about real quick. Bob Jones Sr. says Tom had like 10 Hall of Fame defensemen and linemen. Come on, who? Who? Okay, John Thomas Chavez sent me a super chat. Okay, John Thomas Chavez says, if longevity and bulk stats can get you into the Hall of Fame, then Joe Flacco, Drew Bledsoe, and Brad Johnson will all have stats comparable to or better than the likes of Kurt Warner or Joe Namath. Do any of those first three quarterbacks sound like all-time greats to you? Exactly. So context is everything. And just because, that's another problem. Just because there were wrongs in the past, like guys who were inducted that maybe shouldn't have been, doesn't mean that you used the lowest person as the standard. Okay? So let's say that of all the Hall of Fame quarterbacks, let's say Joe Namath is the least deserving, okay? Just for an example, all right? I'm not going to get into the argument about whether or not Joe Namath is deserving. I'm just saying let's use him as an example. So let's say that a lot of people believe that he is not deserving of it. What they do now, and I've seen a lot of fans do this, and I've actually seen sports writers who are on the Hall of Fame committee talk about stuff like this, okay? They will take, when they're considering, for example, an average quarterback like we've been talking about, like Eli or somebody like that, right? Or Matthew Stafford or someone like that. They will compare him to the lowest person to see if he can get in. So now their standard is Joe Namath, not Tom Brady or Peyton or Joe Montana or somebody like that, okay? Now their standard is the lowest standard. Instead of going, okay, Namath's got in, there's a reason why, because of the, his importance to the historical part of the NFL history and the AFL-NFL merger and all that. So, okay, they let him in, but it doesn't mean we should compound that mistake or keep going in that direction. We need to just make sure that doesn't happen again, over and over. But they don't do that, okay? So they use that as a reference point, and that's pathetic. But that's what they do. It's really, really weird. You can't just say, like you're saying, Jalen, it's oh, well, Joe Namath's in, so Eli gets, really, is that what we're doing? So we're just going to for the end of time, we're going to lower the bar and base it on this level and not this level, just because one guy got in, because one guy snuck in there on a technicality or for, at the time or whatever he got in for. No, that's absolutely stupid to do it that way. Copycat. This is an interesting comment here. So Copycat says, Brady always had long drives that gave the defense time to rest. It's a big reason why the Pats defense was top 10 so often, but nobody ever counts for that. Or am I just stupid? Or am I just a stupid South African? Well, it depends. What part of South Africa are you from? Because I'm very well familiar with all of the different counties and areas in South Africa, of course. Give me just a second. My cat wants inside from the outside. She's gonna, if I don't get her, she's gonna claw the hell out of the screen. So I'll be right back. Okay. Copycat, I was just kidding with you, man. I have no idea. I've never been to South Africa. But no, you're I mean, what you're saying has merit. I mean, of course, but the story of the defense and all that is greatly exaggerated and overstated. They were as good, okay, as any defense that was a part of multiple Super Bowl teams. Like, that is just on par, okay? So Joe Montana, 49ers, they were good. They were really good. Troy Aikman's Cowboys, they were good. They did a great job. It's just how it works. It's how it goes. I mean, they weren't people. My problem is that the people talk about the Patriots defenses like they're the Baltimore Ravens, okay, or the '85 Bears or something like that. It's ludicrous, okay. They're not the Steel Curtain. They're not one of these rosters that is just insane, okay. It's the same story even back then, whether you like it or not. It's the same story as in the second half of the dynasty, which is a lot of great guys that do their job well, okay? So middle tier guys, maybe even above middle tier guys who play well and are opportunistic and do good in those moments. But to sit here and say that they're all Hall of Famers and all this stuff, no. Well, it depends on what you consider a Hall of Famer, right? But no. Name recognition is also something that deceives people. It tricks people into thinking somebody is a Hall of Famer, like left and right. Oh, he's a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer. Oh, because name recognition. Well, there's name recognition because they won 3 Super Bowls. So you do know Teddy Bruschi and you do know Mike Vrabel and you know guys like that, because the Patriots were always an important team that was always in primetime games and everybody talked about. But you can't go by just knowing their names are not enough. It's not how it works. You have to actually look at them for what they are. And they were good enough, yeah. And that's just a part of any kind of dynasty. So we're comparing quarterbacks, all quarterbacks that are Hall of Famers, and that's kind of where you have to go with this, you know. So the argument changes depending on what the scenario is and what you're referring to. So that's all I was talking about earlier. So. And I've done some analysis on like Patriots Pro Bowl guys and All Pro guys and stuff like that. It is very similar to anybody else that's been around the league a long time. It's not much. There's nothing surprising there. And what's funny is a lot of the Pro Bowlers for Tom are people that really don't directly help him. That's what's interesting. So, and that we of course know why, because Bill concentrated on defense and he even concentrated a lot on special teams and not so much. He basically Tom had to lock down the offense for a large part of his career. Even when he had Gronk was constantly injured. And I remember it would be a miracle if Gronk finished the season or played every game. It would be like, wow, you know. So if you count all the Pro Bowl nods for Tom Brady's teammates, how many of them are going to be full of kickers and Matthew Slater, okay, and special teamers like that? That's going to skew it, but you're not going to see a lot of crazy offensive skill players that he's working with or whatever. So I'm not saying he didn't have any good players. I'm just saying, though, it's nothing shocking or crazy about it. It's quite normal. You could compare it to Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is quite similar. But yet Aaron only has one ring and one Super Bowl appearance, despite having very equal amounts on average when you average out how many seasons he started compared to Tom. So it's pretty standard. I see you guys are mentioning LeGarrette Blount. That LeGarrette Blount is something I'm going to need to mention here that Belichick did wrong. So there was nothing worse than watching the Patriots play against the Eagles in Super Bowl 52 and watching LeGarrette Blount run against them. Why was Blount not retained? Why was he not kept? Blount had an energy for that team that very few players have ever brought to New England. You guys know this. When LeGarrette arrived, was it 2013? Yeah, 2013. Do you remember the difference he made? In 2014, the energy that he had, he was just that guy. In 2016, yeah, I know he fumbled at the beginning of the Super Bowl, and all of a sudden, Belichick, I mean, come on, dude. That was a pretty good strip by the defense. That was I don't know. I'm not going to eat his lunch for that. And luckily, it didn't cost us by not letting him play much anymore after that. But to get rid of him was stupid. You could see he could still play. It's not like he was finished. He wasn't all that expensive. That was a bonehead move by Bill. And then Blount ends up, not only do we not have him anymore, but he ends up on the other team that we're playing against, and he's running all over us in the Super Bowl. Again, another bonehead moment by Belichick that I don't agree with. It's just Or how about when Belichick sent Jimmy Garoppolo to the 49ers? Now, let me tell you something. Bill always, for how long? I'm going to do what's best for the team. T-E-A-M. Okay? The team. Do what's best for the team. And anytime it comes contract time for players, he says, you've got to take less money for the team. You've got to be a team player. You want to win, you've got to do that. You got to do what's best for the team, right? It's not personal. There's no feelings here. It's just, okay, fair enough. I agree with that. Do what's best for the team. Except when it's something that he wants or his ego is involved. So his ego was wrapped up into Jimmy Garoppolo, okay? So his ego made him throw a tantrum. And instead of getting us a first-round pick for Jimmy and sending him to the Browns, he gives away Jimmy for a box of Cracker Jacks to San Francisco. Whoop-de-doo. Okay. In comparison to the value that you could have got. All right. Now, personally for Jimmy, that he did him a solid. Okay. Although I don't know if it would have mattered much. Cleveland would have given Jimmy money too, so probably would have given him more than San Francisco did. So I don't even know if it would have ended up much different anyway. Other than Jimmy can say, "Hey, I played in a Super Bowl, but which I screwed up and lost when it was there for the taking." How do you lose a Super Bowl with that 49ers team? I have no idea. I just don't. I don't know. I don't know how the 49ers have not won a Super Bowl yet. I just don't get it. I mean, I'm going all the way back to like 10 years ago with that team they had. They lost more than 10 years ago. They had that defense that they had back then, Navarro Bowman and Aldon Smith, all those dudes. Going back that long, I don't know how the 49ers keep finding a way to screw it up, but they do. But anyway, Bill did not do what was best for the New England Patriots. He did what was best for Bill's ego, and it was like an FU, okay? And Jimmy just happened to get a solid out of it, but that was definitely not his intention. But I thought it wasn't personal, Bill. I thought it was about the team. I thought it was what was best for the team. What was best for the team? Was it best for the New England Patriots letting Tom Brady leave instead of saying, Tom, what'll it take to keep you here? What do we have to do? Okay, what do you need? What are we doing here? Let's stay together. Let's make this happen. Was it best for the team when he did that? When we refused to do that? No, ego got involved. More ego, and that's ego stops a lot of things. Ego is why Kyle Shanahan does not have a Super Bowl. Ego, okay? Ego. God dang, Kyle Shanahan. Sorry, I grew up in an era where Mike Shanahan was the famous coach. So yeah, Kyle Shanahan. Yeah. Okay. Kyle Shanahan, he is a good friend. Actually, Mike is a good friend of Bill Belichick's, okay? They're really close. And Bill spent a lot of time with Kyle in the offseason after 2016 telling him how the Patriots defeated the Falcons because Kyle, of course, was the offensive coordinator. And he was giving Kyle tips on Kyle was about to go to the 49ers and be head coach, okay? Nice. So, hang on. We have a literal cat fight going on. Okay. So they're close. So Kyle and the Shanahan family are close with Belichick. All right, and basically, Kyle is like, okay, I could get Tom Brady I'm talking about 2020. I could get Brady. I could bring him here. He wants to be a 49er. If we win, it's going to be all about Brady and not me. But if I can win with my guys, the guys I trade for, the guys I draft, then it's all me, and it's all the glory to me. And that's why the 49ers declined Brady. So it's an ego trip. And he still hasn't done anything. And this year is not looking too good. It doesn't look like they're going to have – they always find a way to lose. And they lose because they don't have the quarterback. They can do good things. They can win some playoff games, some very dirty, gritty playoff games, and get past people. But they can't get over that. They can't just close the deal. And again, ego. So ego keeps a lot of greatness from happening. If you put Tom on the 49ers in 2020, because I do believe Kyle Shanahan is a very good coach. So I'm not knocking him. I'm just saying, though, that his ego is getting in the way of what he could be. I honestly believe if Tom had gone to the 49ers in 2020, they would have 2 right now. Okay, they would have 2, at least 2. But let's go back in time. All right, how about this? Let's say that Kraft and Belichick both agree to trade Tom to the 49ers. Because John Lynch, the general manager, this was when he called Belichick at the beginning of the 2017 season. And he said, hey, would you trade me Jimmy Garoppolo? And the reason he asked for Jimmy is because he thought Jimmy would be available. Because of course you're going to have to get rid of him or Tom, and you're not going to give us Tom, right? And he said, and Belichick said no. So John's like, okay, would you send us Tom then? I mean, surely you're not going to keep 2 quarterbacks. Although John Lynch would rather had Tom instead of Jimmy, but he never even thought to ask about Tom. And of course, Bill said, hell no. All right. But then we get halfway through the season, and now a decision has to be made before the trade deadline, and then we know the story that he sent Jimmy. But what if Kraft and Bill said, I think we're going to send Tom instead? What happens? Okay? So that makes Tom a 49er in 2017. Okay? Who knows what would happen? 2019, they get to the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. My God, everybody and their mother knows that if Brady was the quarterback of the 49ers in 2019, that Super Bowl is a blowout. Okay, it's finished. It's done. It's not even close. All right? Not even close. It's a joke. All right? And then you got 2020 and 2021. All right? And 2022. And he stays there all the way until he's 45 years old. How many Super Bowls does the San Francisco 49ers have? The organization has 5. How many would they have now? Would they be the record holders? Would they have 7, 8? What would their organization look like right now? And how many more Super Bowls would Tom Brady have? He would have gone to the 49ers, if that had happened, he would have gone to the 49ers with 5. How many would he have added on? Would he have added on 2 more and still ended up with 7? Would he have added on 3 more? Or 4? Who knows? Who knows? But these 49ers teams have been fantastic. And Kyle is a great coach. Now, remember, Tom went to a Bucs team that was 7-9 with a very, very mediocre head coach. Very mediocre coach and a garbage offensive coordinator. The only good thing about that team, coaching staff, was the defensive coordinator. Okay? You go there and he wins the Super Bowl first time. No preseason, no nothing. New team, new offense, new style, everything. So what do you think happens? I'm actually asking you guys. It's not rhetorical. How many If Tom Brady goes to 2017, the San Francisco 49ers, and plays till he's 45, exactly the same thing. So his last year's 2022. So from 17 to 22, how many Super Bowls does Tom have? What do you think? What do you think? And while I'm letting you guys ponder that question, I'm going to check something because I think we have a new patron. We have 2 new ones. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Greg Maxwell. I haven't seen you in the chat, but thank you so much. Greg, if you could just post any little thing, you don't have to comment much or anything. Just press the number 1 or whatever into the chat, and then I can give you your wrench that makes you that identifies you. And Israel P, welcome back to the Brotherhood. Israel, welcome back to the Empire. Thank you so much. And buddy, here's your wrench. Boom, you got it now. Thank you so much, Israel and Greg. I appreciate it. Welcome, everybody. Welcome them to the Empire. Yes, Israel, you are now a superior man. So, and now that you guys are in, you'll be entered into the next tournament that we have, the next Xbox tournament, automatically. So. But yeah, so Greg Maxwell, if I can see your name or whatever, and then I can click on it and then make you a moderator, and there you go, you're in. So you can unfortunately you can't join the this one in progress, but there will be one after this, and then you'll be automatically entered into it. What in the world? 3. We have 3 new paid members. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate y'all. Thank you. That's fantastic. It really helps, especially with YouTube demonetizing us. So. Now, this new entry, Tong Xiong. I don't know. I've never met Greg Maxwell and Tong Xiong. So, but if you're here watching, and Tong, same thing I said to Greg, comment in the chat there, and then I can give you your wrench, and you will be anointed into the Empire. I wonder if Tong Xiong is Tapasio. Let's see. I wonder if these are aliases. Maybe there's somebody we know. Because they're not coming up in the chat. Okay. Oh, Greg is Blacker 58. Okay. Okay, cool. Blacker 58. Well done. I do know you, of course. Okay, so Blacker 58, let me add you. Blacker is now as a moderator. There we go. Okay, so all I need to identify is Tong Xiong. Tong, if you're out there, just tell me who you are, and then I can make you a moderator. All right. Oh, it's Diaburst. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we got everybody. Boom. Diaburst. There you go. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you. And I know, like it says 1 entry for Israel and Blacker, and then for Tong, for Diaburst, it says 3 entries, but that's the next one. Unfortunately, I can't get you into this one. It's already ongoing, but we'll have another one. Week 13 or week 14, I think, will be the new one. So. Keyshawn Johnson's just a hater, man. You have to understand, Keyshawn is a Bill Parcells loyalist, and that made him a Bill Belichick loyalist. And so by doing that, he automatically had to go against Brady. So he's a Brady hater. He always has been. And now he's going to prop up any quarterback that he thinks is going to pass up Brady and all that. Now, he said something extremely stupid. All right? He said that Mahomes is on the trajectory of passing Tom Brady. But check this out. 5 minutes before that, in a different segment, he was talking about how Super Bowls are insanely hard to win. And he was making fun of people that say that he was saying, oh, people just hand Super Bowls out like Skittles or like candy. But then in the very next segment, when it's about Patrick Mahomes and he's talking about Brady, now, oh, Mahomes is on the trajectory. Okay, first of all, it's if you're going to be a great quarterback Hall of Famer, okay, which Patrick obviously is going to be, okay, any of those guys historically, you're expecting them to do well early in their career. You're expecting them to at least make some noise and do something, get to a Super Bowl or get an MVP or something is going to happen pretty soon. Now, granted, for Patrick, it happened earlier, but what doesn't happen, what's the more difficult is winning at the end. Okay, so with Joe, he already hit the ground running. He won a Super Bowl and is only in his second year being the full-time starter. And I think, because the year before Steve DeBerg was no longer, Joe was started over him. So that's pretty quick. You got Troy Aikman, who won fairly soon after he was drafted, not very long after. Tom, same thing. It's what you expect. You expect they'll hit their prime, when they're younger, and you expect them to hit their prime in like season 4, season 5. You're expecting something, the sweet spot to hit, right? It would have been the same thing for Peyton had he not ran into the Patriots. So the Patriots really kept a lot of rings off of Peyton Manning's fingers. The problem where it gets difficult is later, okay? Later on. So Kurt came out the gate, right? Kurt Warner, boom. They had a good team. Everything was perfect, but then it got difficult later on. That's where you run into trouble. That is where it's very hard, okay? That we saw what happened to Dan Marino. It just wouldn't ever happen. Elway almost happened to Elway, and then Terrell Davis just, whoa, what is this, okay? And we also know that Denver violated the salary cap, which didn't help them on their first Super Bowl, but helped them on their second. But whatever. It doesn't matter. Only the Patriots cheat, so it only matters with the Patriots. But later in your career is where the difficulty lies. That is where the hard part happens, because that's when the changes happen. That's when everybody around you is gone. People are retired. Those guys, that chemistry you had early with that team is gone. So I'm not surprised that Patrick, for a Hall of Famer, okay, if you're going to be a Hall of Famer, I'm not surprised that Patrick is doing this early on. He went to a very good team with a lot of great players and a great head coach. So yeah, he should be doing that early. But what happens when all of those guys are gone and it's just him and Andy Reid? What happens if Andy Reid is gone? What happens if it's just Patrick? What happens if Patrick has to go to a new team because all this is passed by and everything is over? You know? There was 10 years between Brady winning in 2004 and 2014. Is Patrick going to play 20 years? I don't see how. My point is that this whole, look what he's done in his first 5 years, first 6 years. Every year they're going to keep saying that. In year 37, if he has 37 seasons, no one's done as much in the first 37 years of his career. They're always going to keep doing this. But it's like, okay, yeah, I mean, look at the situation he went to. Yeah, I expect it. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen early. I mean, I'm not saying I expect any quarterback to do what Patrick's doing. No, because Alex couldn't do it. I'm just saying if he's going to be a Hall of Famer, I'm expecting a Hall of Famer to be able to put it together when he goes to a good team, at least pretty soon. So Keyshawn is like, for Patrick, he's handing out Super Bowls like they're no big deal. Oh, they're just going to keep being this good. Look at, already they're hitting hiccups. Already they're hitting problems and people are making excuses for them. And they have the sixth best defense in the league and people are making excuses for them. All right. It's not easy being the champions. It's not easy being the best. Okay? Patrick Mahomes has been the premier quarterback of the NFL for several years. So the target is on your back. And everybody wants to beat you. And everybody wants to, half of them want to beat you and half of them want to be you. And when you've got that, so that means that half of them out there are becoming like you, which means you're not special anymore. So you're going to have to change that. The other half is wanting to take your head off. And they're scheming and they're plotting in order to interrupt you. Okay? We saw this happen. We saw it happen in 2010. A determined Jets team with Rex Ryan. All he cared about was beating the Patriots. And we even crushed them in that season. And they come out and they beat the Patriots and knock them out of the divisional round. That 2010 Patriots team probably on its way to the Super Bowl and could have won it against Green Bay. But that was interrupted because someone's just absolute crazy focus just to beat the Patriots. People are going to start coming at the Chiefs like this. And that's what's going to happen. Can you make it through? I'm not saying that they won't survive. I'm just saying, though, that let's not be handing this out and just saying, oh, everything's going to be exactly the same because of the way it happened before. Well, you thought they were fantastic in 2018. Patrick threw for 50 touchdowns. Oh, my God, this is amazing. This is crazy. Look how all this offense is everywhere. They're just so good. Now they have the AFC Championship game in their house in Kansas City, one of the loudest buildings in the league. Very difficult to win there. On the road. What happens? An old man comes into your house and takes it from you. An already old man. 2019 comes along. Oh, they make it there. Any other quarterback for the 49ers, they lose that Super Bowl. 2020, they go back. They get annihilated by even an older old man. They get completely just wiped out. 2021, they run into a young peer of his, Joe Burrow, and get put out in the AFC Championship game. You didn't expect that, did you? At home. 2022, you made it back and you got one. It's not easy, okay? So many things have to go correct. So let's stop acting like Super Bowls are easy just because Tom Brady won 7. They're not. Okay? There's a reason why it's so rare to even go back to back, much less winning multiple ones. There's a reason so few players only have 3 or more. Very few. Okay? There's a reason why nobody had 4 Super Bowls for so many decades since Joe Montana did it, until Tom finally did it in 2014. Because it's hard. It's very difficult. Do you know how many Super Bowls you can go to and lose them just as easily as you can win them? It's not simple. And each year becomes more and more and more difficult. And you have to change. You have to change with the league. You have to change with the opposition, the players, the new crop of coaches that come in during your reign. Okay? The new crop of coaches with a different idea. Maybe they're bringing it from college. Maybe they have new schematics and things that they're working on. New quarterbacks with a different skill set that you didn't anticipate. Things change around you. And you have to be able to wade through that. Did the Patriots ever expect that they put the greatest team ever together and they lose to Eli Manning? Really? They lose to a wild card team? You didn't see that one coming, did you? But it happened. That's the way it is, man. The two teams that won the Super Bowl for the Chiefs were not as good as the 2 that lost. The 2018 Chiefs are better than the 2019 team. In my opinion, the 2020 team is better than the 2022 team that won. You just don't know. There's no guarantee for this. And that is what's so mind-boggling about how many Super Bowls that Brady's won. That's what's so crazy about winning multiple Super Bowls. Getting 3 is almost impossible. It's like crazy. It's like it should be celebrated to the moon, but they're already handing it out. Oh, Patrick will have 3 soon, and he'll have 4 and 5 and 6. Like it's no big deal. Like it doesn't matter. But in the segment before, you were saying that Super Bowls are so hard doing. All right, Keyshawn, you got 1, right? He got 1 with Tampa Bay. How come you didn't get 4? I mean, I don't know. Because you didn't have Patrick, right? So with Patrick, it's easy to get them. But okay, cool. That's funny how that works. Fucking bias. Okay, let me get you guys your quarterbacks real quick. And for you night owls, after the quarterback picks, we can talk a little more. And you guys who are members on Patreon, you can call in if you want. So. After that, we can basically talk about anything you want after this. So, okay. Okay, so let's just say. Okay, so First, we have John Thomas Chavez. Actually, at 300%, can you guys see that pretty good? Is that still okay? I know some of you guys use your cell phone. Okay. So people who picked Mahomes last week did not fare very well at all. It was a tough time for you guys, and it's not a bad pick, but it's just yeah. Okay, so John Thomas Chavez and Elf of Courage, your stat is turnovers. Now remember, turnovers include fumbles lost. Okay, so don't forget that. Okay. While I'm waiting for them, on deck, we've got James Johnson versus Luke. And your stat will be touchdowns. That's all-purpose touchdowns. So any way the quarterback gets in the end zone counts. Okay? All right. So we're going to go back to John Thomas Chavez and Elf of Courage. Elf of Courage, you guys got a pick? Just the quarterback, Jalen. It's just only on the quarterback himself. Yeah. Yeah, Mahomes last week had three turnovers. He had 2 interceptions and a lost fumble. Elf of Courage is going Taysom Hill. John, I'm assuming you're not going to go Taysom Hill. So Jared Goff, good pick. Good pick. Okay. James Johnson and Luke R. Just waiting for you. Elf of Courage and Blind Assassin. You're on deck with yards as your statistic. Okay, so James Johnson. I don't think James is here. Let me see. Okay, so Luke, you pick first since you're here. Luke is going Josh Allen. James gets Tua. Okay. Now we have, going back, we have Elf of Courage and Blind Assassin needs picks for the statistic of yards. And on deck, we have James Grant and Jalen. And James Grant and Jalen, your number is yards. So all yards. And by the way, rushing yards, if you go negative, that counts against you, by the way, just so you know. Okay, so going back to Elf of Courage and Blind Assassin. Elf, do you have a... Okay, Elf has Tua. Okay, Anthony, Blind Assassin, do you have a pick for me? Looks like you're here, so... And remember, James Grant and Jalen, you're on deck. So have your quarterback ready. We're just waiting on Anthony here. Jackson. All right, so that's Elf of Courage versus Blind Assassin, Tua versus Lamar Jackson. Okay, James Grant. Are you here? No. Okay. So, James, I'm going to roll for you. Jalen, you can pick first, though. The stat is yards. Any yards, passing or rushing. You have 30 seconds. Tua. Good pick. Okay. So that leaves us with only 4, and we're done here. So. Okay, Ryan Dyer and Elf of Courage. Your statistic is 3. This is turnovers. Turnovers. It's any kind of turnover. So fumble lost. A fumble doesn't count against you just if they lost the fumble. So only as a turnover or interceptions. Okay, on deck is the Gourd King and Bitcoin Motorist. Number 4, completions. So Gourd King and Bitcoin, your quarterbacks you're looking for is who's going to throw the most completions. Okay, so we're going to go back to Ryan and Elf of Courage. Ryan picks Zach Wilson for turnovers. Elf of Courage picks Andy Dalton. Okay. Gourd King picks Mahomes for completions. Bitcoin, waiting for you. On deck, we have Chris Queeley and Blind Assassin again. And your stat will be touchdowns. Okay, Bitcoin Motorist goes Joe Burrow. That's going to be a good one, Joe versus Mahomes like that for completions. That'll be cool. Okay, so Chris Queeley, are you here? I don't think so. So Blind Assassin, go ahead and give me your pick first, and then I'll roll for Chris. On deck is Nightwalker versus Nightly Sinister. Your stat is yards. So Daniel and Kevin, your stat is yards. So be thinking about a quarterback that you think is going to have the most passing and rushing yards. Okay? And that takes us back to Chris and Blind Assassin. Blind Assassin, you have 30 seconds to give me your quarterback for touchdowns. Goff. Okay, and for Chris, four. Okay, Chris is Tua. Okay, final matchup is Nightwalker versus Nightly Sinister. I think they're both here tonight, so I'm going to wait. You guys have to pick pretty quickly, though. Nightwalker's going Tua. Okay, and that leaves Nightly Sinister. Kevin, I need your quarterback, buddy. You have about 30 seconds. I think we have a problem, though. I I don't remember seeing a matchup for the Lions. And it doesn't look like there's one. We're having to go back and the ones that picked Goff. So we're gonna have to go back. But Nightly Sinister, I need your quarterback. I'm gonna go back. We're gonna go back and get those ones that picked Jared Goff. So John, I need a new quarterback from you. Sorry about that, buddy. I need a new quarterback from you that's got for turnovers. John Thomas Chavez, I need a quarterback. Okay, I'm going to have to roll again for James. Mahomes. Mahomes probably will throw for a lot of yards. So that's not a bad choice. Okay. There's Zach Wilson. Okay, Blind Assassin, you're going to need a new quarterback. And it's for touchdowns. Did Nightly Sinister ever get back to me? Well, Jalen, with Mahomes, they always like to throw. That's all they do. So they're probably going to get something. They're going to just keep chunking it down the field over and over again. I'm going for the Dolphins, of course. So Nightly Sinister, I'm going to go ahead and pick for you. Jesus, keep rolling the same thing over and over again. Another Goff. Mahomes again. Another Tua versus Mahomes. That's ridiculous. All right. Okay, Blind Assassin went from Jared Goff to Justin Herbert. And last, John Thomas Chavez, I need your new quarterback. Justin Herbert? Okay. All right. And let's hope that all those quarterbacks are playing. Okay, so I forgot to check that before we did this. So I usually remove them from the list, but I forgot to do that. So, okay. All right. So there you go. Just a recap real quick so you can write it down. John Thomas Chavez versus Elf of Courage. John has Justin Herbert. Elf of Courage has Taysom Hill for turnovers. James Johnson has Tua versus Luke R. with Josh Allen. The stat is touchdowns. Elf of Courage versus Blind Assassin. Elf of Courage has Tua. Blind Assassin has Lamar Jackson. The stat is yards. James Grant with Mahomes versus Jalen has Tua. The stat is yards. Ryan Dyer has Zach Wilson versus Elf of Courage has Andy Dalton. The stat is turnovers. Mahomes has the Gord King has Mahomes versus Bitcoin Motorist has Joe Burrow. The stat is completions. Chris Queeley has Tua versus Blind Assassin has Justin Herbert, and the stat is touchdowns. Nightwalker has Tua versus Nightly Sinister, who has Mahomes, and the stat is yards. All right, good luck, you guys, on that. Yeah, you can pick whatever quarterback you want. I mean, I'm surprised by the Taysom Hill pick, but I'm not going to argue. That's what he wants. So, yeah, weird, huh? Okay. Strange. Okay. So now let me go through my picks real quick. I did pretty well last week. Okay, we have Cleveland versus Arizona Cardinals. Cleveland's a 12.5 point favorite. I don't particularly like that. I think that's too big. I think spreads like that are only reserved for teams that are just far and away better than everybody else. And when they're playing a terrible team, I agree that Cleveland is going to win at home. So, but I don't like the spread there. So Browns over Cardinals. New Orleans at home versus the Chicago Bears, 9.5 point favorites. I think that's too big, but I do like the Saints to win that one. Baltimore versus Seattle. Baltimore at home. Baltimore is going to destroy the Seahawks. That's easy. Atlanta at home versus Minnesota. Minnesota no longer has Kirk Cousins. That's problematic, and it's at home in Atlanta. So going Falcons here. Green Bay versus the LA Rams. Packers are looking terrible. It is at Lambeau Field, so I don't know if that will help them or not, but it looks like it's at Lambeau Field, I think. So yeah. Okay. So I think Green Bay's going to get the win here, actually. Chargers at the New York Jets. I don't particularly like West Coast teams that are average, that go all the way across the country into the East. I don't like this game for the Chargers. I'm going with the underdog Jets. Pittsburgh and Tennessee already played. Pittsburgh won. That was a gross, ugly game. Did you guys watch that? Ugh. Houston versus Tampa Bay. Houston at home. I like some things that Houston have been doing this year. Tampa Bay is just the Bucks, whatever. Who cares? I'm going Houston here. Philadelphia versus Dallas. I actually am very concerned about Philadelphia as far as how my expectations for them have been bigger than what I've been seeing. I'm not saying that they're not terrible. Obviously, they're good, but I'm just not sold on them yet. I don't particularly like Dallas on the road. This is a tough one. I'll come back to that. New England versus the Washington Commies. This one's in New England. I'm going Washington here. Washington gets the victory. Indianapolis at Carolina. Obviously the Panthers are tanking. They're just complete and utter garbage. Mustache Goat is going to win in Indianapolis. Okay, Cincinnati versus Buffalo. This is Bengals at home, and I'm going Bengals. So the Buffalo Bills are very disappointing. This is the big one, Kansas City Chiefs versus Miami. We'll go back to that one. Las Vegas Raiders versus New York Giants. This is in Vegas. I think the Giants will be able to pick up a win here just from the transition. I just don't know if Vegas is focused on actually trying to win a game here. So I think the Giants will be able to. They've shown some glimpses of, playing pretty decent. So not great, but I'm going Giants there. Okay, so we're going to go back to Philadelphia versus Dallas. I'm actually going with the upset here. I think the Cowboys will win it. It's going to be crazy, I know, but Dallas will get the victory here. Okay, so Kansas City versus Miami. So here's the thing. This is an international game. This is going to be played in Germany. And like I've always said, I never bet on games. I haven't bet in a while, but my policy was never to bet on games that were outside of the normal schedule. And so Thursday night games, no, don't do that. Don't bet on Thursday night games, and don't bet on international games that are played outside of the norm. In Germany, these games don't really tell us, whoever wins or loses doesn't really tell us a lot about the team as far as down the road how we're going to view them. If the Chiefs win, okay. If the Dolphins win, okay. But neither can we say that's going to, that shows who they are really that much. That's the problem with international games. It's all about who just gets acclimated better to the change, the jet lag of the international flights, the oddness of being there. It just takes everybody out of their element, so the games are generally not typical of what you would expect from either team. So I would stay away from betting on the Chiefs and Dolphins if you rely on standard statistics, and if you bet on games from a standpoint of trends and how teams are performing, because I just don't think that these international games really show any of that. I think they're outliers, so I'd stay away from it. But I do think the Dolphins are going to win. I think the Dolphins are actually the better team, but who knows? That may not even matter. Like I said, it's a weird game, so I would stay away from that. But just to make a pick, I'm going to say Miami. So. No. You can't pick a quarterback in the negative category. You can only pick. Is that what you did? You were trying to be sneaky. I didn't even notice that. I actually when I typed in Taysom Hill, I thought maybe Derek Carr was something happened. Like I said, I didn't prepare for the quarterbacks, but in a negative category like that, that would be massively unfair to take a guy who is a backup for. I assume he was starting anyway. Now, if you wanted to do a backup for yards, something in a positive statistics, I have no problem with that. I wouldn't recommend it. But in a negative statistic, it just would not. It's just not very fair. This is the first time this has come up. Actually, I've never had this happen, but I'm going to have to say no on that one. So I'm going to need you to pick a new quarterback. unless Taysom Hill is starting. If he's starting, then I'll let you keep him. But if he's not, then I just think that's unfair to your opponent. So we need to find that out. But just in case, Elf, can you go ahead and give me a backup a pick if I have to change it for you? Can you? Who do you prefer? Okay, so Dak. All right, so if Taysom Hill ends up starting, if Carr is in a situation and Taysom starts, we'll put in Taysom Hill there. But if not, then I'm going to default it to Dak. Yeah, I never even, I just never thought about it. It never came to mind because we're always picking top quarterbacks, or starting quarterbacks. That's always been the idea. But it's true though. Like, yeah, if you pick a backup quarterback for a negative statistic, that's ridiculous. Yeah. Nice try though, Elf. That's funny. Hey, you got to give him credit. So that was pretty funny. I mean, that was pretty clever. So, but at least now we're aware of it. So we're aware of the violation. So. Alvin Courage says, I'm a Pats fan. What did you expect? Okay, if you are a contributor on Patreon, if you are a patron, you should see pretty soon. Let's see here. If you go to Patreon, you will see a link. Let me post it here. Yeah. A link to call in. If you want to call in the show, the link is here. So active link to call show for patrons. Okay, so just go to my Patreon and it will be the comment posted there for members only. What the hell? I did post a link, you stupid idiots. Why is it telling me no? Okay, there it is. Okay, and I will post that link also in the Legion chat. So make sure everybody gets that. Okay. Oh, Jalen.
Hey, how are you?
How you doing, man? I'm doing good.
Pretty good. So since we can shoot the shit about anything,
Yeah.
you once asked me who like my people would be if like aliens came down from Earth and like were challenging us to a fight, like who my warrior picks would be.
Yeah.
I I want to add Francis Ngannou to my list of people.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
I think he's the greatest fighter in the world today. Just like not boxer, not MMA guy, just pure fighter with like the things he's done in MMA. And I now think that if your boy John Jones had fought him, that would be the one loss on John Jones' record that wouldn't be there by fluke. Because you said that John Jones has a loss that's there by fluke when I said that he has one loss.
Well, he was disqualified. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Or something like, like not like it doesn't count. If he fought Francis, he would have one that counted.
You think so?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So.
The greatest adaptive fighter I've ever seen, because I've seen him also fight in MMA, and I've seen him like he was wrestling the guy I was fighting, and I saw him fight before that, and he was like beating down the guy I saw him fighting. So like to me, his adaptability to any type of fighting style is just like unmatched. So yeah, I think he's just like an awesome fighter. What are you gonna say?
Oh, I was just going to say that what he was able to do against the best boxer in the world right now, that was insane. Imagine if that fight was in an octagon where he could kick and ground and pound and stuff like that. Because
Very guy.
What's his Tyson Fury had to fight in that manner.
I don't want to see Tyson Fury die.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is it's like
let's kill Tyson Fury in some sanctioned fight.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So when he knocked Tyson Fury down, imagine if he could have ground and pounded him right then. Like if he could have jumped on top of him, that would have that's what I'm saying. What Ngannou did and went over to boxing boxing is a different sport. It's a different game. You've got to play to the points. You've got to play, there's more to it than just power. And what he was able to do was absolutely impressive. Absolutely.
If he fought Deontay Wilder, he would beat the shit out of him and actually win the fight.
Yeah, probably.
Like right now. Oh.
I do think that Tyson Fury didn't take the fight seriously.
I'll say this: Tyson Fury trained for like 12 for like double the amount of time for his other fights, and training wise, he did take it seriously. And like there are people who like are experts in it, like commented from like seeing him at one press conference to the next press conference, seeing him like thinner and leaner. So he like the training part he was taking seriously. But like maybe because like you can't really know what to expect. A lot of people who are insiders say the mental part, like he couldn't, like I guess he couldn't like mentally completely focus in on, one, because he thought he would be out of the dude's league, and two, because you don't know how to prepare for a guy who's never done like this sport with a style of kickboxing and MMA or whatever. Like you don't know what he's gonna do in the ring. They said there was like no way to prepare for that.
Yeah, and there's there's not a lot of that makes sense.
Yeah, and some people think that if they fought again, that like Tyson would have an easier time. But I personally think if they fought again, Tyson might win. But with the way he won the last 2 rounds, which was basically stay on the outside and jab and don't get in close, and like just win on points, which is how I thought he won the fight. He was just like winning on points.
Yeah, I still think John Jones would win against Ngannou. But it would. Now I think the fight would be much more interesting than I originally believed it would be. So,
and then also, I'd like to see if maybe John Jones could do it in UFC. But I honestly wonder if anybody is strong enough in boxing with like 10-ounce gloves on to like punch, like, because to me, Francis looks like a tank. Like he looks like if you punched him, he would be like Superman and your hand would just break on his face. Like, you know what I mean? Like he just looks like. So I wonder if like, can Deontay Wilder knock him out if they were to box? Because I don't think the answer is yes.
Yeah, and another thing about boxing is that you got to be able to last. It's a lot of rounds. It's a lot of cardio. It's a lot of movement. So as we're in the UFC, sometimes you can hope to maybe get the guy out of their first, second round and try to be done with it soon. But in boxing, it's just different. And so what he did is quite amazing. So.
Yeah. Also, but like, oh yeah, now I'm going to go on to Hall of Fame.
Yeah, go for it.
My thing about the part of the thing you said about the Hall of Fame is sometimes the people who are your owners are just assholes, and they're not putting you in because they have. So the fact that Jimmy, because to me, when you spoke about some of the Hall of Fame thing, and you said if your owner does not put you in, that was a direct shot at Jimmy Johnson. To me, like that was the person like you were alluding to. If I'm wrong, maybe I'm just wrong.
When I said what?
When you said that if your owner doesn't, if your own team doesn't put you in their ring of honor or their own Hall of Fame, then do you really belong in the Hall of Fame? Because Jimmy Johnson is the only one that I can think of who's not in their team's ring of honor, who's in the Hall of Fame.
No. I wasn't thinking about him. I was talking about players. And I was also talking about not the ring of honor, but a statue. Like like I was thinking like if you're not even great enough to be honored in that way outside your own stadium, it's like makes you wonder, So
how many kinds of statues?
I don't know. I've been to a lot of stadiums and seen different things. And statue is a figure of speech, not literally a statue, but I'm talking about like some kind of honor, some kind of great honor. But it's. Yeah. You haven't solved that computer ding, have you?
The computer ding?
Yeah, that ding, 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 ding.
Oh, it happens less. It didn't happen like
10
times. See, it only happens like once. I mean, hopefully it just only happens sporadically like that. Like it usually doesn't happen like all at once like you heard last time.
Speaking, you brought up Jerry Jones and the Cowboys. That I don't know if you remember. I was saying earlier about ego, how a lot of times ego keeps us from seeing greatness and like greatness. Okay, like it limits things. Jerry Jones' ego limited what could have been one of the greatest dynasties ever.
Yeah.
And let's go back and say that Jerry takes his hands off the wheel and says, "Jimmy, you're awesome, dude."
Just got those first 3 championships because he had his hands off the wheel. He had no choice.
He said, "Keep going, do what you do." they would. Who knows what would have happened? I mean, it would have got even crazier. Probably they probably would have won 4, maybe even 5. But the greatness was limited by ego, and
Yeah, true. But to me, I agree with that. But to me, Jimmy Johnson is the reason they had 3. Like Jimmy Johnson built that entire team, from trading Herschel Walker to getting all those draft picks to picking all the right college players, because he was a former college coach and he knew who was going to be like it and stuff. Pick all those people. Like the only thing that what's his name did to contribute is sign Deion Sanders that year Barry Switzer was there. But that was Jimmy Johnson's team to me. Like that's why I say he, like, to me, I think he has a better just actual case for Hall of Fame as a coach GM than Bill does. I mean Belichick. Oh yeah, one thing I thought of when you were talking about the Keyshawn Johnson thing. Does it say something that the coach, that Bill Parcells as a coach still has people who stand for him that were players of his, but Bill Belichick has people who were players of ex-Patriots openly mock him and say, you had nothing to do with those rings. It was all Tom Brady, i.e. Asante Samuel. Does it say anything about their coaching or whatever, or about their coaching legacies, that one player is still standing for him, for one coach enough to stand for a protege of the coach he is standing for? You know what standing means, right? That's like someone who's a giant fan or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, but at the same time, Bill does have his loyalists still. Like there's other guys like Teddy Bruschi and guys like that. They get on TV and they sing Belichick's praises. But I'll tell you what's even more impressive. It's that a teammate of Brady's has never just said, Brady sucks, you know, or that's almost impossible. Like that's just unthinkable that you didn't piss somebody off or that somebody doesn't like you. That's so hard.
The greatest move Brady ever played was getting along with every single backup.
Yes.
He got along with backup so well that even when he's won a Super Bowl, you see his backup carrying him out of the bar or whatever.
Exactly. They love him too. That's weird, you know? I mean, look at other backups that they just didn't get along with their starting quarterback. Look at Steve Young and Joe Montana or Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. There's that animosity there, you know? He
managed to get along with his backup and his predecessor in Drew Bledsoe. Like there was no one he didn't get along with. And while he was still saying Antonio Brown and him got along fine.
Yeah, until Antonio went nuts. Yeah.
By the way, you probably won't do it, but I'd still like to see you do a comparison of AB versus Randy Moss for the first 10 years of the career, because I think they are very, very. I think they very, very similar, or you know, I think AB might surprise you and edge him out in a lot of areas.
Yeah. Why Randy specifically?
Because when people think of like all-time great receivers for this era, most times they mention Randy, T.O.
Mm-hmm.
To me, like AB kind of belongs in that same conversation, and he didn't play long enough for me to go with like Jerry. And with Randy, if those stats match up, I can at least like look at the stats you looked up and use the fact that he won the Super Bowl with Tom and Randy didn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, sure. They both had touchdowns in the Super Bowl, but one converted and one didn't. So, Hey, Coot Coot, what are you doing? I had to get my own soda. Can you believe that? That's a travesty.
I wonder if you include, because Aaron Hernandez was in a Super Bowl. I wonder if you would take all the losing Super Bowls and you just look at the Super Bowl stats or whatever. Who was his like best like offensive weapon that was like an elite weapon? Like, was it Aaron or was it?
You
Randy?
mean just in the Super Bowl game itself?
Yes.
Each one?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a good question. That's a good one.
I believe Aaron Hernandez was doing a lot in that Super Bowl in like 2011 that they were in or whatever.
He did do a lot. Unfortunately, he dropped that pass on the last drive that maybe could have gotten into field goal range, but or helped get us into field goal range. That wouldn't have directly, but it would have helped.
Fortunately, he just can't not commit murder, and like that would have just been really nice.
What a freaking idiot. Okay, let's think about this. Let's say, okay, so there's nobody stands out in the first three Super Bowls. I know Deion Branch got MVP or whatever, but there are plenty of guys later on that can beat that. Randy had a touchdown in 2007, but didn't make much noise other than that touchdown. Nobody really stood out specifically in that one. 2011, Aaron Hernandez had a great game. Let's see, 2014, like Tom usually does, he distributed the ball to everyone. Now, Shane Vereen had a great game, but there was touchdowns by LaFell, Gronk, Amendola, and Edelman. Okay, so everybody, that was just everybody contributed on that one. And then you got 2016. 2016 was a lot of James White. All right, James White had a superb game. He was just phenomenal. He was everywhere, contributing to touchdowns and 2-point conversions that had to happen.
Who were they playing in 2016?
The Falcons. That's the comeback.
Oh, that's the 28-3 comeback?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then you got 2018 where, people give a lot of credit to Edelman, but it didn't contribute to points.
I still think Edelman was MVP of that game, by the way. I think what you're trying to do with the MVP when you give it to a defensive player like in the game like that is water it down, because I look at Ray Lewis and go, that's my standard for MVP if a defensive player gets it in the Super Bowl. If you can't mimic that, you're not my MVP of the Super Bowl in the defense. You need to do more than the offensive guy does to get MVP as defensive player.
Yeah, but the problem with 2018, that one in particular, is that there was nobody. There was no standout. Nobody was making themselves, look how,
I think if you look at the Patriots' time of possession, the reason they dominated that a lot was because Edelman kept a lot of those drives going, even though it didn't turn into points.
Sure, but when you hold a team to 3 points in the Super Bowl, did we just have an earthquake again? Yeah, we just had another earthquake.
Team effort to hold that team to a Super Bowl. I think it was like one defensive standout player.
Well, like I'm saying, if there's nobody on the offense that is far and away obvious as far as I'm concerned, I love Edelman, trust me, and I'm glad he got it. But I voted for Gilmore, So
yeah, but I think you have to have it. I think on the defense, you have to have it even more farther away, or it automatically reverts to offense. Like, to me, Gilmore was not far and away better than every other defensive player on the Patriots or whatever.
Yeah, he's the default pick basically. He's the
yeah.
he's the yeah.
If I don't believe in a default pick for a defensive player. I believe a defensive player has to win it outright so clearly that you and me couldn't even argue about it. It would have to be so unargumentative that we would be like, I agree with you, Von Allen.
What do you think about 2013, Malcolm Smith? Did you agree with that?
I don't remember who played in 2013. I may not have watched that Super Bowl.
It was Broncos Seahawks. It was when the Seahawks destroyed the Broncos.
Wait, it wasn't. Well, that year Peyton Manning sucked. So I thought it was.
No. Peyton that was the year Peyton set the record.
Oh.
Not 2015, 2013. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm getting my Super Bowls mixed.
It's okay. The Legion of Boom wiped out the Broncos in the Super Bowl. Remember Peyton's first play? The snap went over his head. Yeah.
I mean, I was so pissed that Peyton was actually there that year.
I know.
And like I didn't want the Seahawks to get it either for some reason. I don't think I watched that Super Bowl. But to be fair, I do think a member of the Legion of Boom in that Super Bowl because they were going up against like the elite Peyton Manning or whatever, and the fact that they like get interceptions and like to me they if I were to look at like back at that game, they put their stamp on it. Like they said we are one of us is MVP, whereas like the Patriots said you could give it to not Malcolm Butler, to Gilmore if you wanted to. Yeah, he could.
Yeah, well, like I was saying, 2018 is a very tricky Super Bowl, like very odd. Okay, a very strange one. Now, you guys out there, do you have a pick? Do you? What Jalen asked. So Jalen was saying, who is Tom Brady's best performing weapon in any of his Super Bowls? Amendola in 2017 was pretty awesome. Then we have in 2020 with the Bucs. Again, he spread the love out on that one, so everybody got a little bit, But Gronk overall is clearly the guy because Gronk had 2 touchdowns. So. Gronk almost had a third. Remember when he got caught? Like he got out and he was going and then.
What were we talking about here?
The Bucs Super Bowl.
He almost had a third?
He almost had a third. He got caught. Like if it was a few years earlier, I don't think he would have got caught from behind.
Oh,
so.
the one up the seam?
Yes.
Like the one like right down the seam?
Yes.
I don't know. Gronk has never been that, like even in his early years, like he may have still been caught. He may have figured out how to truck the guy or run over the guy, but Gronk was never really like the fastest one on the field to me.
Well, no, it's not about speed. I'm just saying like he was just a bit, you could tell it was just a little bit different, a little bit like you can go back and see him. He would be able to get out of those situations. But almost had 3. Can you believe that? 3. That's crazy.
Somebody wrote, I thought Josh McDaniels was his best offensive weapon.
What? Wow. He's clearly kidding.
Which does bring up a thing that me and Gorting have talked about, and I'm actually not sure on this now. I'm starting to think Tom Brady made them all look like geniuses. Who is the best offensive coordinator Tom had? Josh, Charlie, or the one that's back there now? He's coaching Deshaun Watson. Bill O'Brien. That one I'm not actually sure about it anymore. I used to say Josh, and my main reason was, well, Bill O'Brien got to 2 Super Bowls and he lost his. Tom Brady won the 3 Super Bowls he got to with Josh. It's pretty stupid logic, but hey, when Tom Brady's so good, he leaves with me with no other reasoning.
I don't know. I think there's a good case for
All of them?
For Charlie Weiss, if you have to pick one, only because they were able to do that with very few guys. Like, Josh had a lot more to work with, in my opinion. So I think there could be a case for. I think you could pick. It's obviously Josh or Charlie, just because of.
One thing that just came to my mind.
Although my favorite coordinator he ever had was O'Brien. Funnily enough, I actually liked O'Brien's style. So,
who do you think Tom Brady's worst receiver was that he was successful with?
Define successful.
Super Bowl win or get to.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think the worst receiver was he had in those runs? Because I would actually argue it was Chris Hogan, and Josh got him open a lot in those runs. To the one point
Chris wasn't that bad.
Yeah. But I don't know, comparatively to everybody else that he got to Super Bowls with.
I'd say it's probably somebody from the early years. I would pick someone.
The problem with the early years, he's the only receiver I remember him having was Troy Brown. I thought that was the only receiver.
Well, he had David Givens was there for a while, and then later.
David Givens, Dayton Patton. I can't say he was worse than those two.
Yeah.
If anything, tier-wise, I'd say he's on the same tier, but I think that they had to get Chris Hogan more mismatches in the years he was successful. And I remember one game, he had equal stats to Julio Jones. In a playoff game. He was as good as Julio Jones for one game.
I think you're referring to the Steelers game.
Yep.
The AFC Championship and the NFC Championship counterpart, right? Okay.
Yep.
That's funny. It is funny. Yeah. So, yeah, Hogan was wide open all day long in that game. It was funny. So, that's true. That is true. So, I don't know. I'd say you could. I mean, you could put Hogan in there. I mean, this guy's a lacrosse player that Tom took and turned him into a weapon. But yeah, that's funny.
Champion with Tom Brady. He'll forever get to use that or whatever. He'll go to places where autograph signings.
Yep.
And he'll get more money because he's a 2-time Super Bowl champion.
Yep, it's changed his life, And going back to overrated, let's talk about overrated. I said Don Shula is overrated. Don Shula is a Hall of Fame coach. I'm not disputing that, but he's too revered, in my opinion. He's like the Mona Lisa of football coaches. It's like
the person seen as the best coach ever was Vince Lombardi before Bill.
A lot of people say Don Shula, and I don't get it. I don't know. So
only coach with a perfect season, but
how do you do nothing with you have Dan Marino and you do nothing? I don't know. It's interesting.
We spent 20 minutes blaming Marino for that whole thing, though.
It goes back either way. That's my point. It goes back either way. For both of them, how did those two guys get together and not win anything? So it's that just doesn't make sense to me. It's absolutely ridiculous, and I think it's a blemish on both of them. I think Don Shula can't say he didn't have a good quarterback, and Dan Marino can't say he didn't have a legendary coach or a good coach, whatever. They both equal each other out as far as just mediocrity, and they just don't have an excuse. So
I'll say this: my top two coaches are, my number one is still Joe Gibbs, but like my number two is I don't know if I've probably said this before, but Bill, the 49ers Bill, for
Bill Walsh.
yeah, Bill Walsh, yeah. Like to me, like the offense that he created is literally the greatest offense ever, and it has, I think like I would say 15, like counting conservatively, like types of championships, like Super Bowl or NFC or AFC championships for like that, or from some variety of a West Coast offense or something like that. So yeah, like, and honestly, that's why Andy Reid isn't up there in my like top four, because he's still using an offense that I think was best used by Bill Walsh. And he's he's a great innovator in himself, but like to me, like his like I can't get him to be a Mount Rushmore coach, because I still like can't put him over Bill Walsh in that category.
Yeah. So Bill Walsh, he contributed more to the NFL than most. Like his contributions are absolutely insane.
It's probably one of the best coaching trees too.
That's what I was about to say. His fingerprints are all over the NFL. Even right now, they're all over the place. It's crazy. Now, here's the thing about Belichick. What he does and his legacy is not going to leave a mark on the NFL. Okay? So now we're not talking about performance as a coach. I'm talking about legacy. I'm talking about influence over the league. Bill's not leaving some kind of blueprint for success. He's not going to leave behind something that everyone's going to study and follow forever. And most coaches don't get that, honestly. So
unless he goes to a coaching book, like Tom wrote a quarterback book, but I think Tom I don't think that many people are going to have the discipline to achieve. Like, let's say somebody like a quarterback tomorrow wanted to do the Tom Brady method. If Tom took them out and like actually said, all right, this is what you do for like a month straight or whatever, so they would actually see what his actual routine was. I don't think there's any way there's any quarterback that wants to go through with it, especially for like 20 years. Although maybe it's like 10 or something, because Tom didn't have that TB12 method at the very beginning of his career.
So in those early Super Bowls, Tom admitted to eating McDonald's every day. So, but with Patrick, specifically, we're talking about longevity. What people don't understand is that Tom was able to do that because football meant more to him than almost anything. Okay, winning meant more to him than almost anything. Also, Tom didn't get married until later. So the wife is coming into the relationship with Tom already successful and understanding that this means everything to him. Patrick was already with his girl when he got drafted. So she's going to get bored with all of this. And their kids are going to start to get older, and she's going to start putting she's a nut job. Everybody sees that she's psychotic. So she's going to start putting pressure on Patrick in like year 13, year 14, and we're going to see if he can mentally go through that. And that's if he's even physically still able to play well by that time, because I'm telling you, he gets hurt easily. Like, he gets injured. I don't know how severe his injuries are, or if he's just kind of acting a little bit or whatever. But if those injuries are all legit, they're going to add up. Your legs.
I'm able to also think that he might be divorced, and prior to the year you suggested that she might give him problems.
That might actually work out for him. Yeah. So,
the biggest mistake Tom did was marrying that hoe. So, like, he waited way late into his career.
Yeah, and he still never chose her though. And I don't know if Patrick has that ability. We'll see. But Tom winning 7 is amongst a massive amount of circumstances. All of these different variables that have to happen. All of them. Not just the on the field stuff where things have to go well. You have to be healthy. You can't, it's personal life too. It's personal desire, personal pushing. You have to have all those things, and people don't realize how hard it is. I don't think they think so.
That reminds me, you asked how many time would have if he went to San Francisco.
Yeah.
It's like 2017. Did that team have like Kittle and Debo on it already and stuff like that?
I don't think so.
Kittle wasn't there already?
Kittle was there. I don't think Debo's drafted yet.
Okay, I think Kittle becomes Gronk. So I'll say he ends up with at least 10 instead of he ends up with at least 10 rings. And
total. Yeah.
But I'm like, no, who knows how many he goes to?
So that would mean that. So you're saying
he might not be in Tampa those last 3 years either.
No. So you're saying that he'll win 5 with the 49ers if he goes in 2017.
How many did he win with the Patriots in that amount of time?
He won 5. If he goes to the 49ers in 2017, Tom would have had 5.
Oh, okay. I'm saying he gets 5 more.
5 more. Okay. That would have given the 49ers organization 10 Super Bowls.
And I also know, he might not go to Tampa either, because
Yeah, we're assuming that he stays all the way. Yeah, through. So,
maybe.
I don't know if Kittle was drafted in yet. I thought he came around in a little later than that though.
He was I thought he was like a 6 or 7 year vet.
Let me look it up. Oh, he was a rookie in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So
he might have broken out earlier. I don't think we ever really heard from him until the next year. But
I got a prediction. The best I hope Gronk went with him. In this scenario, I hope Gronk came too. But George Kittle is considered the best tight end in the league instead of Travis Kelce.
Right now, if I owned a team and they said I can pick a tight end, I'm picking George Kittle, because I know Kelce's game, and Kelce's game is all dependent on Andy Reid. It's absolutely dependent on Andy Reid. Travis Kelce is open more than anybody, and it's just by scheme. It's just you can see it. His backups can come in and just do the same thing, and you don't even notice. It's like, okay, fine. It doesn't make a difference. So that 2017 49ers starters before Jimmy G was traded was Brian Hoyer. The running back, Carlos Hyde, he was pretty good, pretty decent. Pierre Garçon had arrived there by then. Marquise Goodwin, Garrett Selleck was the tight end, and the offensive line had some decent guys. Not they had Joe Staley and Trent Brown. But maybe they don't win in 2017, but they I'm not saying they couldn't, but 2018 is where the fireworks would have started.
Well, who do you think they'd be playing? Because 2017, the Patriots would have gotten there, but without Tom, they're not getting there. So who's their opponent in 2017 on the AFC side?
Oh, that's true.
Depending on matchup,
I guess the Jaguars, right? So
So Tom would have to do exactly what he did to the Jaguars. But I think Tom could beat the I think Tom
Yeah.
could beat those Colts with those weapons since he did it with the Patriot weapons that year.
Yeah.
Like they did.
Yeah, it's possible. I'm not saying it's not, but we'll go ahead and say that 2018 is a pretty good indicator of when it could have started, and that's before Debo, and it's still a good team. 2019, hands down, absolutely, they destroy everybody.
When does Kyle Shanahan become coach?
It was 2017. Yeah, 2017, because that's when him and John Lynch came over and started. They wanted to start their time with either Jimmy or Brady. That's what they were wanting. But let's look at the 49ers 2019 season. This is so Tom Brady with Kyle Juszczyk and Tevin Coleman. Throwing to Debo Samuel and Emmanuel Sanders. Tight end George Kittle. Decent offensive line. Amazing defense. Just this team probably would have gone 15-1, something like that. 14-2, 15-1. Would have absolutely destroyed the Chiefs in that Super Bowl. 2020, I think Debo was hurt that year, or he didn't play or something. But still, the team was the team, and I think they could have made a run. So 2019 is the Super Bowl. 2021 Super Bowl done. 2021 will be like 2019, so that's 2. Last year again done. 2020, so that's 3. That's 3 that I'm very sure that Brady could have won with the 49ers. Now the other ones are possible too, but definitely 3. So
I mean, if we just do this hypothetical, would he have done better if he could have gone to like Pittsburgh Steelers in 2017?
Well, that wasn't even a thing.
Yeah.
That wasn't a consideration, so I don't know. I mean, so.
I just think him and Mike Tomlin would be an awesome pair.
Well, I think it's good. I think Tom is the kind of quarterback you want to pair with a defensive coach, just because he can handle it and he doesn't have to be Tom's willing to not be the center of attention and all that. So.
Yeah. Although, it would be really fun to see what Tom would paired with Andy Reid.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to get off here. I've been on for 3 hours and 40 minutes. So
there was one other thing. You said that you want fans, or you in your thing about you want fans to be like more selective or more unbiased. Fans are short for fanatics. You know that, right? Like, it's unreasonable to ask people who are nicknamed for being fanatics to be reasonable.
Well, it depends on if they're just football fans in general or if they're talking about someone of their own team. But if you're talking about general, so like we can have a view of certain Hall of Fame quarterbacks that have nothing to do with us personally, but we can still have a logical view of them, a neutral view. And that's what I mean. So
I think fans of teams are actually more likely to be harder on their franchise player than other people are. Like, I think the only way you escape it is be like, do what Tom Brady did, and then if your fans will have nothing to criticize. The whole 7 Super Bowl rings up, and then fans can't criticize you or whatever. At least his own fans don't or whatever. Like Patriot fans or whatever. At least not now. At least some of them kind of did when he left.
All right, thanks for calling, Jay. I appreciate it. I'm gonna go.
See ya.
Thank
See
you,
next
man.
week. Bye.
Okay, guys, appreciate you being here. So keep in mind in the future, if you want to call at the end of the show, just on Patreon, I always post the link for you guys and you can join. So thank you guys so much. I had a fun night. This was a good show. Really enjoyed it. So let's see here. Make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Nope. Okay. All righty, guys. I will talk to you later. That's bizarre. That's bizarre.
What, you can turn it off?
Yeah, something. It looks like I'm not leaving. I can't quit you guys. I have to stay. You guys are so amazing.
13 more hours.
13 more hours, is that what you said?
Mm-hmm. Remember those long shows we had?
Oh, yeah.